What is up, guys? It's your boy Aki. We got Say Yes.
Hi.
Say It. And we got Archbishop East on deck. Today we are discussing.
You already know. Then you forgot Rex. Damn, that's crazy.
I said Rex. I
Oh, you
said
said
Rex.
Rex. You said
Yes.
Rex.
You did?
Yes.
You second. You came right after me.
Oh, you must have cut off from Mid East because you went from Sayed straight to.
Yeah, like that ass.
See,
Cause I
that's
was
that's that Atlanta internet.
Nah. Disrespect
yeah,
is already here.
I was saying for those y'all don't know, me and Rex in the same city.
No, I'm a witness. I heard Rex's name.
Yup.
I did me and Rex did.
Or
And I
it could
guess
be.
it's on record, so you could just.
I don't know, man. This is already. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we
You
go.
would say it's
Yeah,
you would say it's
And
double teaming.
Rex is here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Fra.
we already starting the cap. That's crazy.
See, I told you, the king of cap.
Yeah,
You got the
man.
Yankee with no brim on it. Now, this is the overrated versus overhated stream. I see Adam D. Blurred in the chat saying you were just thinking about this. So I'm glad to have done this on time. Glad to be of service. Now, we were talking a little bit about different behavioral patterns that go in with overhated versus overrated, where I think a series can be both. I'm gonna say that right now. Like, I think that
Yeah.
like Black Clover is a series that I think is both overrated and overhated. Like, I think people cook Black Clover not too much. But like the Demon Slayer fans did, like just yesterday, sometimes they set themselves just a little too hard for people to come at them reckless.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, here's my issue with Black Clover. It's not that I think that there's anything inherently wrong with Black Clover. Like it's as I was doing my catch up to Black Clover about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now. I enjoyed my read of Black Clover. I was like, oh, I was smiling, I was laughing. I was like, oh, this is but I noticed I noticed inconsistencies in the writing, I noticed the pacing, I noticed all these things. So I was like, okay, so this is just a fun series that I can read or whatever. Then I stopped reading it because it was a series I didn't want to read week to week, so I was letting it build it up. Then the Julia stuff happened, and I was like, yeah, never gonna pick Black Clover up. Oh, nope, cut that off. And then I was like, the issue with Black Clover with me is that it's overrated and overhated. But the thing is like I don't have a problem with people reading or watching Black Clover. It's when they overdo it. It's like, oh, this is the next coming of Jesus Christ. Asta is like this, and I'm like at a certain point you got to realize that it's average. And this is I say this about everything. It's okay to like average series. I like a lot of average series because like everything can't be great or like the GOAT. That's why we reserve these things for the greatest series and the GOAT series. So like when you have an average series like Black Clover, you're like, oh, I like it. It's my type of average. Or you can have another average series like maybe Demon Slayer, but that's just not my cup of tea or my type of average. Or my overrated I'm gonna get to eventually, but that series right there is so average that I'm just like, why do people even like? It's cool, but it's just not my type of average. And it's just like we have to realize when a series is average. Like people get too attached to liking a series to objectively say, oh, this is not the greatest thing, but it's okay because I like it. It just it's totally okay to say this series is okay. I like it. It doesn't need to be the best thing ever. It's totally fine.
Yeah, of course. I definitely agree that there are shows like Black Clover, and I think this other example I had, which is I think falls in the very same category, much older, Fairy Tale. I think also very similar in the sense that it's rather generic. There are some fans that are really hardcore and really think it's really good, and then there are like most of the otaku community think it's not that great. It's actually really mid and really generic, and it is objectively not the best show. Obviously, I wouldn't say that it's in any way underrated, both Black Clover and Fairy Tale. But I think what annoys me always is not just the hardcore fans that really love it, but also the reaction to fans that really love it. That is often like, oh, you just haven't read real manga, you haven't watched real shows, you don't know what's really good. Because sometimes they have actually watched multiple shows, and sometimes they just like it. And I think it's all right to just like it. even to think it's the best show. And I think we have to also accept that. That's why I think Overhated against the show is kind of something where I wouldn't quite say that because it is not underrated, but I think the reaction towards the fans could be much kinder.
Mm. And I think,
So
oh, go ahead.
yeah, so like I think that there's a certain like for me, I used to have like Black Clover fans like show up randomly. Like I'd be like, oh, like blah blah blah, blah. And then all of a sudden somebody would show up on the tweet like Black Clover is back. I can't believe you enjoyed this mid. And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, all right, you know what? Fine. I'm gonna read this. So then, I go through and I read Black Clover, and I'm like, all right, bombastic fights, da 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 da. Okay, this is all powerful. Like, I enjoyed this. Like Royal Knights exam, I was actually like, damn, this is unique. And then like the L4 arc happened, and I was like, and the thing is that like once I got caught up to Black Clover, I stopped like being able to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, me too.
Because it wasn't giving me like a lot to work with, like week to week. Like I wasn't like sitting there like, yes, the social commentary in this chapter of Black Clover today. Like I wasn't getting any of that like out of that experience. So I was just like, all right, cool. I read some like cool fights.
Yeah, and I think that any Black Clover fans out here, I mean this with the utmost disrespect. It's not fans, the stands. I mean this with the utmost disrespect. Y'all are some of the most insecure people I've ever met. Like you could literally be my if it's my hero or any like if it's my hero or any newer show that has come out, and my hero is no longer new. It's no longer the new kid on the block. It's a seasoned
Nah,
veteran at this point.
yeah,
But we still like to say that My Hero and Black Clover are relatively new because of how long we've been into, we've been watching anime and stuff like that. But like y'all people, I remember on Twitter, like someone said, "Yo, My Hero, great show. I love the characters. Blah 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 blah." They said it's trash compared to Black Clover. God damn, can I not just say I like something without you having to say it? Like nobody even said that it's better than anything. Nobody said it's the best thing. Literally, people would just be like, "I like this thing, and I think it's cool, and this is why." And then you have to come in there and say, "No, it sucks, and it's worse than this." It's like,
yeah. But
uh,
it's something everybody does about their favorite manga. I mean, I don't know, but if I watch through,
everybody.
yeah, everybody who twitters about a certain show has their favorite and will say why their favorite is. Yeah, I mean, if I go through, for example, Aniki's Twitter, there are
I'd
half
be
a dozen
roasting
posts
people.
about One Piece being worse than MHA, and it's perfectly fine doing these posts.
Okay,
I
and
love roasting shit though,
also,
especially because I will 100% see like, all right, I saw a 10 slander post today. Bet I'm slandering. Like that's kind of how I work. If I see like too much slander on my TL from a group, then I'm gonna counterbalance the weight. Just because y'all decided to be an ass or whatever. Like you want to act a fool today? I got something for you. Plus, I cut off all my vices. So
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying that Black Clover fans aren't the only one who do that. It's maybe the ones where you think it's unreasonable because the show is so much worse, maybe. But
oh no, for me, I gotta like basically I'm 100% convinced that if I hadn't had to deal with like Black Clover fans telling me that it was better in every single metric, I would love
no.
Black Clover more.
yeah,
Yeah, probably. That's the problem with overrating thing. I think the problem is not so much that it annoys you when they are fans, but so much that you go with high expectations into the story, and then you just can be disappointed.
and this is a hot problem I have with recommending people stuff because I will straight up say this is not the greatest thing ever. It's okay, but I think it's an enjoyable watch. And people like not only recommending me your best of the best, and this is the realization I had to come to. People do not deserve my best of the best anime or manga recommendations because, and this is the reason why, people do not like getting out of their comfort zone when watching anime or reading manga. I had to learn this like by being in the server I'm mostly in Savage Mob and just being around Discord. People have the thing they like, which is typically fighting shonen things. And when I recommend them something that's outside of it, that's maybe a slice of life, maybe it's a drama, maybe it's a thriller, this or that, and these are great pieces of work and art, you don't deserve to watch that because you're going to critique it because it doesn't have the necessary fights, the necessary action. Like maybe 5 episodes straight is straight dialogue. But if you listen to the dialogue and you really take in what they're saying, it's amazing. But I can't recommend people shows like that because the majority of the anime community, like there are subsections here and there, but the majority that is active on Twitter and like that's active are meatheads and they won't take themselves out of their own comfort zone to enjoy something. Like
Yeah,
I've literally go ahead.
yeah, you talk about niggas talking about MHA. That's crazy. That's wild.
And,
Court
and,
snooze fest. Niggas talking, no hands, lame.
and honestly, I don't even attribute that to My Hero. Like the reason why I think people generally won't watch My Hero is because of the fandom.
So
Like honestly, like, and I'm not saying the fandom is bad, but I know that.
you see
Okay,
that
all
excuse
right.
fly around a lot.
So My Hero and I got separate. The MHA fandom and the Boku no Hero fandom are two completely fandoms because people that are new don't differentiate the two. You'll see the overpraising from both, but the vocal minority when they do it is very toxic. Like the Boku no Hero fans are very toxic, and when they're like explaining why My Hero is so good, and then they're shitting on everything that you like. It's like, well, I don't want to watch it, and then like you're overhyping it, and then you get into it, especially early in My Hero, when you're coming from a place of hyping up everything that you've seen, and then you tell them, hey, come into the series, and then they get to USJ and that's all they've seen. It's like, why do you think this series is so special? He's like, no, you got to keep going. And it's such a terrible argument because I even say this One Piece. If you're not really feeling it early on, you shouldn't strain yourself to continue going. And that's why I temper everyone's expectations. I say I love My Hero, but they're like, it's not the like it builds up to be like what I consider a great shonen, but you got to build up to it. That's why I tell people like just enjoy the ride. But
So my
people,
thing with My Hero, when I recommend it to people, when I recommend My Hero to people, I already have to know what kind of stuff they're into. For
yeah,
example, like people will be like, this X, Y, and Z, these are the gateway anime. Wrong. Just because an anime is popular does not mean it's the ideal gateway for a new anime watcher or just anybody should be watching this anime. If you don't care about, like, automatically, you're talking to somebody and they don't like the MCU, even though I don't consider the MCU to be the best thing in the world, like I said like yesterday on the stream, if you don't like superhero movies like at all, why would I recommend you My Hero Academia?
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Like I'm shooting myself in the
but,
foot.
But that's in general. I always when I recommend anime, it's even if it's books or movies or whatever. When I recommend shows, I make it personalized. Like I look what the person I know the person, what they like, what I've watched with them before, and what I can base off of that. I'm not going to just recommend them something that I don't know if they're gonna like it. I assume that, of course, it's an assumption that I don't know particularly if they want to like it, but I pick and choose what I recommend to whom.
Like
So
You see, on that note, it's funny, Rex, because I always and everybody I talk to, I analyze their interest and what they like and what they don't like. There has not been a single person that I have where I've really actually gave my top, like one of my top one series. Like as far as anime, one of my top five series is Oral Host Club. I'm a slice of life merchant. That shit is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. But guess who I'm recommending that shit to? Nobody. It's near and dear to my heart, but guess who I'm recommending that shit to? Nobody. Nobody has this. I'm one of the weirdest people you ever meet. Nobody has the same interest I do. The reason I like My Hero is for the simplest things that got me to My Hero. Where these niggas like, oh my god, these kids grow. They change clothes. They have little talks in actual moments and do little callbacks. That was shit in the that was the simplest shit in the beginning that got me like, man, these little light moments kind of hitting in the series. Like I said, but guess what? It's the little shit, like the shit true and near and dear to me. That's what actually gets me. I'm not gonna recommend people other shit that like they don't really fuck with. Everybody has their own interest hobby, so I wouldn't waste my breath.
and also East Aura Host Club is in my top 10. Just let it go.
Let's go.
I love it too.
so yeah, like my friend Woodrow has almost like no anime experience. Like, and so I'm sitting there like listening. He's like, "Oh, I was watching Criminal Minds the other day." Da, 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 da. So he likes, that dark shit. So I was like, all right, for his first anime, which Attack on Titan is like sometimes argued as like a gateway anime. Other people are like, that shit is way too dark to be like, hey, here's your first anime. Everybody dies, the anime, here you go. Like, there's like this argument that like gets bounced back and forth, and I'm like, well, shit, who's willing to sit around and watch stories about serial killers all day? I think he can handle watching dozens of people get murdered, like in dark, disturbing ways. And sure enough, loved it.
I want to get into because I like this is the one that I just thought of Overhated, and now and this is just my Overhated, and honestly, yo, Now that I'm rewatching this, I may have to change my tune. It may say this that the overhated anime is Naruto, and I may have to change my tune. Naruto may not based off of writing or anything like that. It may be the greatest shonen of all time. Not like because I'm rewatching it, but I'm rewatching it with a reaction channel,
Hmm.
and their intrigue level and certain things I have taken for granted. Like
Yeah,
when
it's
they
something.
oh, real quick, just like when they saw Donzo appear on screen and they like got fully what Donzo did, they're like, "Yo, this is one of the greatest villains of all time." And I didn't think about it because like, whoa, Donzo really is a grimy Nick. Like Donzo was he had his hand in everything, was doing like in Naruto has been around the block for so long that people kind of step on it and like. But Naruto really has something for everything, and I think it's the perfect gateway anime. And like I think it's overhated. Like literally, if you like comedy, you got that early Naruto. And even Shippuden, you get that. Even like a lot of heavy action, Naruto arguably has some of the best fights in anime. Period. If you like some sad ass backstories, got that in bunches. Like if you like characterization and development, and I didn't. And one thing I didn't really truly appreciate with Naruto is the characterization and the introduction to a lot of great characters, especially in Shippuden. Like holy crap, like rewatching it,
Mhm. Yeah.
so good. And I'm not saying like objectively Naruto is like the greatest thing ever. Like personally, I still give it like a 7.5, maybe around that range. But just like the things that it does and the things that it like brings to the table, especially for fresh eyes as to anime, and like just I think we really take it for granted. Like I think Naruto may be like I think Hunter x Hunter is like right and rise and everything the best shonen, but just like overall that encompasses the whole scope. Naruto may be the best shonen of all time. Like
Yeah.
it's
So
crazy.
I think overall that's something I've also thought about is I don't think Naruto is overhated because there are tons of fans. There are tons of fans who love this show, and even the ones that are now criticizing it often actually are former fans and even still feel kind of nostalgic about it. The thing, what I think is, why I agree with you that Naruto is getting really a lot of criticism now, which is undeserved. And I don't think it's just Naruto, but I do think it's all of the big three at this point. Also, Bleach, since it's basically since it ended, even before that, and now One Piece because it is in this long stretch that we kind of, in hindsight, look back on many of the mistakes that happened and many of the narrative plot holes that at the end popped up, or the way certain characters are portrayed badly, or the way we've always seen it, but we've kind of ignored it for a long time. That Sakura was just badly written, but
Worst overrated
ultimately,
character ever.
yeah. But ultimately, the thing is that all of these things are at the end criticism, but they shouldn't overshadow the fact that this was an actually good show. And it's in hindsight when we're all criticizing it and all, especially when we're looking at these newer shows that do a lot of these things better now because they've learned from Naruto in many of these ways. Um, and we're comparing it and thus coming to the conclusion that Naruto is of course worse than all of these because with these running shows the hype is already is at the moment at its height, and with Naruto it's long gone in a way. We kind of forget how great Naruto was at times when we were watching it.
and
And
so that's something that I'll follow up on that with is like I'll tell you right now that the war arc was disappointing, but I was still at my friend's house every week to read the war arc.
yes,
Yeah.
Like there's a certain level, and what you said is true. Like the issue that I have is people don't understand that. Like for example, me when I like say like a lot of the new gen are better, I like on the technical level. That's I don't mean that as a slight because
yeah,
the way that a lot of the older series are structured were more about like you had to fit so many things into a chapter. You had to do so many things. Like you always have to have like certain amounts of comedy. You always have to have like this or that within there. Like and like this isn't a dig on One Piece. So, like look at the last One Piece chapter, and then you notice that we had to have like the fit with Sanji and like we had to have like you have to fit certain things in. Like, that's how those stories are structured. Where sometimes it doesn't. You realize like now with certain things with Jujutsu Kaisen or with My Hero, where you can have complete thoughts and you can backload like your comedy for a different time, or like you're allowed to not have to rely as much on that tonal whiplash and can maintain the readership. And I think what it really comes down to is there's a slight more of an editorial slash like corporate influence in older series, and like these newer generation models are getting to be more cohesive stories that are more about what the author is actually trying to convey.
yeah.
So So I think there's more of a, maybe you could argue that there's not even necessarily a reflection of quality, but a reflection of freedom in the stories. And that's what like changing the way it is. And like, it's allowing for stories to hit more. And I also think that to a certain degree, um, with the influence that marketing has on stories, I believe that the more technically good something gets, the harder it gets to appeal to like everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Attack on Titan is this ridiculously cohesive, like you go through and like you're like, wow, in the first chapter on page 13, Grisha Yeager was staring out the window, which means he was staring at the for those of you who didn't read it. And the 13th page was chosen to actually be numbered because the Curse of the Mirror gives you 13 years of life. So that's why he made it a point to only have the number 13 like numbered, blah, blah, blah. Like you have all these small ass details. Uh, the Dragon Ball Super manga exists going, so yes, I have to say that Dragon Ball is kind of getting overhyped, but only because it's being punched into the ground by corporate greed and consumerism.
I think this comparison between the technical quality is difficult to make in manga if you're not an actual expert of manga, but it is very clear to see in anime where it's just clear that the anime has better quality and everybody can see that. But not just the animation itself, but also just the pacing through this now seasonal structure instead of putting in dozen episode long filler arcs to make up for the to get some distance again from the manga. And those are of course things that of course different issues, but similarly manga just evolved and different we learned different things. But I also realized, like, I don't know if you remember, but I don't think maybe a year back or 2 years back, somebody in was it Shisui's old channel reread or read for the first time Naruto, and I had until then completely forgotten how good the art actually was in Naruto. I completely forgotten that, and then Fenrir, that was right. And I was actually impressed because I had completely forgotten how good art was, and I genuinely thought that the art in Naruto wasn't that good, and then I would look back at some of the panels, and it was actually good.
Yeah,
that's
like
really
not even
impressed me.
just good, like amazing.
Yeah, it's really good art.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that like I think that this happens with both Bleach and Naruto, where people kind of like
Bleach.
The thing that One Piece has on the side is that it's still going, so you still have a consistent fan base that is like there, ready to get in, and still engaged in the anime manga community. Whereas with Bleach, because like the other thing is that like with the big three, with Demon Slayer, with My Hero, with like a lot of these big series, it's easy to, some of these people are genuinely not manga or anime fans, but they just happen to like 2 or 3 anime manga, which that, so like people feel like, oh, well, like you're constantly talking about this is the greatest thing ever, but it's like, why do you say that? And like, it's like, one, you can't gatekeep whether or not people enjoy one thing, and you can just go like, okay, this isn't as big of a deal. But I think it's easy when you only consume like one medium to like go peak fiction, whatever. But some of those people, they've like Bleach ended, and then their love of anime ended.
Yeah, like, I think Bleach specifically really deserves more credit because Bleach is, in a way, it's of course a shonen which fulfills many of the shonen tropes, but it also feels, when you read it and when you watch it, it just feels so different in many ways. It feels more mature, more, just because the art is, the characters look older, and like through a lot of shonen, characters actually look quite similar in terms of they are all different, similar height, they all have a similar smile, and Bleach characters just look more adult, look more mature, and it's something that can go through like the entire show. That, of course, it's still a story about a high school boy ultimately, and with a 16-year-old, but it just felt like you were reading a story that was made for an older audience, and it was also in many ways a lot more artistic. Like I always really loved Kubo's style, and then later, like years later, people would say, "Yeah, he's so lazy because he's just making these whiteout pages." But I genuinely love these whiteout pages. They just
so here's the thing. So this page is like the Horn of Salvation reveal, which is glorious, even if it was followed by the most disappointing double spread of all time. Not because of the art, but because of what happened. But I do think that like Kubo's spreads are very underrated. Like the Mausoleum of Darkness that takes 100 years of the Knights of the Soul Society's future by Ichibe is one of the most beautiful spreads I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, there's somebody in the chat named No Google or whatever. He said, "I'm afraid I'm going to have to disagree with Naruto. I think Naruto was nice to look at, but not really much else for me." And I would agree with you if this was maybe 6 months ago. But rewatching Naruto, I'm not rereading it because Jesus Christ, I, I'm not doing that. But rewatching it in the format,
This is
in the
too
form,
long.
yeah, I'm not rereading Naruto. But like rewatching it, there's a lot of depth to Naruto
Yeah.
that's like very like understated. There's so much like thematics, everything. Like there's so much, and I'm going to step my foot down right here. Naruto Shippuden is better than original Naruto. I am putting this down right here because the war arc gets so much hate, and I think the war arc is overhated. I think that the beginning of the war arc, like up until I'll tell you, up until the ten tails appear, even some of the ten tails stuff was still good, but like there was a section where in the ten tails stuff where it kind of started going downhill, but even then it had hype moments. I think the war arc is overhated. I think that there are so many great things that happen in the war arc. I think that um there are some inconsistencies. I think some more characters should have died besides Neji, Shikamaru dad, and Ino dad. I think there should have been
Mm,
more depth. I think there should have been more consequences. But like rewatching it and then rewatching it with a reaction channel,
yeah.
like when the reanimated people came, like people like, oh snap, it's Lady Chio, Lady Chio, and then like we see Lady Chio, Hanzo, Kimimaru pull up together. It's like, yo, these three together, oh they better be scared, they better be running, and they can't get killed. It's like, bro, this excitement level, like these
Yeah.
characters beforehand, the Kimimaru backstory, everything that he did. War anime is bad, debatable, but like everything like Kimimaru did, everything. Lady Chio as a character is fantastic. Like and then like you get Hanzo's backstory, like where Pain came in and killed all his people because of what he did. Like it was just so much intricacies. And then one thing I didn't give Naruto enough credit was weaving everything together as well as it did.
Yeah.
Like and Donzo is the reason why I'm saying that because like when you when when they start saying like, oh, Donzo was here and here, he's like this slimy bastard, and then he was like when you put like the Akatsuki in this situation with like the Shishikage saying, oh yeah, we did hire the Akatsuki to do missions, and that's why they're still going in, that's why they're so funded, because like it's like so much stuff was weaved together, and like it was like, bro, like Naruto is really good, like like and people may be like, oh yeah, Naruto is good, but like when you've been bashing it for so many years after it ended, you've been bashing Boruto. When you've been like, when the discussion of Naruto is no longer positive, like realistically, there's very few Naruto discussions that's positive anymore. It's always
Yeah.
bashing it and comparing it to other things. When you actually go back and just look at it like through a positive lens, it's like, bro, like Naruto
Yep.
is dope.
Sometimes something that now that whenever I look back at it, whenever I watch particular scenes again, what really hits me every time still, and the more time passes, I think the harder it hits me is just the thematic cruelty in Naruto, which is something
Yes.
which I think surpasses a lot of the other a lot of course there are other shonen that also are similarly cruel and similarly tragic, but Naruto has just moments where from one moment to the other it shifts from kind of leisurely funny to just really really thematically cruel, and not in the sense of we're showing somebody being dismembered, but just in like this person killed himself, and then you see actually war happening, and you see really just children who suffer so much, and this whole idea of
Yeah.
children on the battlefield, which is really something which in many ways goes unaddressed, but is something that is the entire time there in the show, and sometimes in the end, Madara and Hashirama have this idea about not letting children go to the battlefield, and that's kind of when it hits you that all this time you've watched 12-year-olds kill each other in a way,
And
and that kind
so,
of hits.
my thing is that I always say that, especially Sasuke as a character, is one of the most overhated characters because he is the most logically written character within the series.
Yeah, like rewatching it, I used to like, oh, Sasuke is the Edge Lord. No, he had a
No,
reason to be mad about everything.
no, I'm always like the hidden leaf is like the perfect example of this is what happens when kids go to war and you don't have a mental health system. Because like
Mm,
think about what he witnessed the night that he ran into Itachi.
of
Not
course.
just the massacre of his clan, but he technically watched it on the loop for 72 hours.
Yeah, he was tortured with it.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
why would you expect a 5-year-old to end up well adjusted 7 years later on
No,
any
no,
level?
no. I mean, I have my problem with Sasuke because I don't like him. I have no problem with the actions he does because I think they make sense. There was this particular time after Itachi died where in my mind, was a little bit much flip flopping. But I understood why he was doing it, but I thought it was a bit annoying. And I think that's okay. It's just important to see that it makes sense for his character.
And like the other thing is that one of the things that like I would think about like this flip flopping, this like even you can even notice this in different IRL examples that aren't as extreme as war. Like there's a girl who will like message me for like 3 days straight and then disappear and like what it all really means is she's dealing with her shitty boyfriend. She's not dealing with her shitty boyfriend. She's dealing with her shitty boyfriend. She's not dealing with her shitty boyfriend. She wants to be happy and not have to put up with that stuff. She's gonna real quick go settle because it makes her feel good in the short term, and she needs that instead. That's Sasuke's mentality. Like you see it all the time in real life. You just don't realize that the grounding behind it is literally not knowing who the fuck or what the fuck you're actually after anymore in life. Because especially when you look at if for 10 years, because literally, you know, this happens when he's 5, 6. He's been like, okay, I've literally been instructed. And at the end of the day, like, I've been scarred. I need to kill Itachi. So he spends 10 years of his life, which if he's 15, 16, that's literally 67%, 70% of his life dedicated towards the idea of killing this one person.
Yeah.
That person goes, you've accomplished your life goal. What the fuck do you do now?
Yeah. I absolutely understand it, but it's one of these aspects where you have to actively remind yourself that this is a 16-year-old still, and it's again one of these things where you in Naruto you kind of forget that these are all still children, and still it's made so clear to you, and it's something that you can really see with many other characters. Like in later on, when we found out all the truth about Naruto's past and and about Minato's past, and there were so many fans still today kind of angry that Kakashi didn't take care of Naruto. When you think about it, and he's a 14-year-old kid, Kakashi, at that point, who just lost everybody in his life, one after the other, and for 2 or 3 of them, it was his fault that they died in his mind. So of course he's not capable of taking care of a baby at this point.
Also, like one thing, like Kakashi, like 2-0, and also the thing about one thing I do hate, and one thing I've appreciated more. The third Hokage was actually a really good Hokage. Like rewatching it, actually, like, and people like, oh, the third didn't take care of Naruto. It's like we have to put it into context where the reason why even anybody that knew Naruto was the fourth child couldn't give him special treatment was simply because the fourth had made so many enemies over time, and the war and even though we come into Naruto when there isn't any wars going on, we saw that with the fourth grade ninja war, like when before Gaara gave his speech, everybody was angry at each other because they still had memories of ninjas like doing something to one of their family members or one of their friends. So it's like announcing to the world that Naruto is Minato's son literally would have brought on so many espionage, so many spies trying to kill Naruto. It makes much more sense to just keep Naruto as an orphan child that just has the Narutos. And then
the other thing that bugs me is a lot of the shit that goes wrong is directly the fault of Danzo and the elders supporting him.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the third at all. Because
Like,
he's always against it. But it's just oh, go ahead.
I'm also a bit critical for the third because he has been in power for 30 years and he didn't particularly change anything. But I think much of what we criticize him for is ultimately a thematic decision which is not his to make, which is something where just in this world overall, so just psychological problems are not taken that seriously. Like nobody is treated for PTSD in this entire show ever. And they absolutely should be. So, of course, it makes perfect sense for even the leader of his village to prioritize the actual physical safety of this young child over the mental health by being not isolating him from his peers.
And the thing is that's not even something that's rare because in the real world, you have parents who suck at their job as parents. But they're like, I don't know what you mean I'm a bad parent. My kid eats and they have a bed and they wear clothes. So clearly I'm the best parent out there. And it's like there's a lot more to parenting than just, like sitting on your hands and like providing material needs.
And going back to Sayas, when she was talking about like how like some like the dark themes and stuff. Like it really didn't hit me until was watching it with a reaction channel. But like when they got to Nagato's backstory, and they were just like, Jesus Christ, this kid is a like I know it subconsciously, but like just to hear someone verbalize it for a long time, it's like, wow, Nagato is really a child of war. Like his beliefs, like they were just explaining, like his belief system and everything he's doing is a product of the war that the Konoha and everyone else was having at the time. And like when his family got killed by the Hidden Leaf Ninja, they thought they were enemies because the father rushed at him. But then that was like, you got to understand the father's position. He thought they were coming to attack him. He had no idea. He's just in a war zone. It's just like all it is. And like when you look at Nagato as a whole, everything that happened to him is literally a product of the ninja world. And it hits so much different when you think about it after a long time. And then also like Naruto, Minato's and Kuina's like backstory, like of how like Naruto's birth and stuff. That was like after the episode, they were like, "Yo, bro," I was about to cry because it's just sad that like all of this happens and then nothing is done until Naruto Uzukage really. If you think Nagato's and Naruto's life is bad, there was three great ninja wars before like a lot of
Yeah.
this. Like there's so much there's like how many kids like Naruto were like happened or Nagato or Sasuke. Like you have no idea, and it's like one of the sad things of the Naruto world that isn't talked about. It's just like, dude, Naruto is honestly in my opinion, overhated. Like for real.
Yeah. Something in Naruto which I also sometimes I think about this is just that there are a lot of untold tragedies just hinted at. Like, for example, that Konohamaru's dad and mother apparently, but are dead, which means also Sarutobi's son or son, I think, is also dead some way. Asuma's brother somehow died. We never find out why. We just know that they are dead. And at some point, when Asuma dies, Konohamaru is the last Sarutobi in this main line, and you kind of and you never know what happens to this person, but you know that something must have happened.
And something that actually kind of adds to that is one of the things that I think a lot of people forget is that the thing that made the third Hokage so good, like, is one of those like political things that's like off screen, which is that when the war ended, pretty much everyone was mad at him for not being a giant douche. He wanted to stop the cycle. He realized what was happening,
Yeah.
like on a macro scale, and he was like, "All right," because like the third Hokage is also the one who's like lauded as the strongest, even though we only get to see way post prime Hiruzen, and that's it. Because he learned every jutsu in the village apparently, even though it's one of those shonen escalation problems that's like something that I think a lot of old shonen have. It's like him doing the roof tile shuriken jutsu of all things. Like I just I'll just tell myself that's a low chakra tier, like low chakra jutsu with high efficiency, and that's why he chose it. But like,
just wanted to brag. Just this new jutsu just learned this. Look here.
Like, and so like basically he was running around bodying people, and then was like, okay, I'm gonna take a break. Let's like be more reasonable. Let's not place ridiculous levels of sanctions on people. And even though he said he was like prioritizing the village, he kind of like planned for the future. And I don't even think that the future that Naruto and Sasuke achieved would have been possible if the third hadn't been kinder to villages, even though they might not ever appreciate what he did in those moments.
Yeah, I agree. And also like speaking of kindness, rewatching it, the Nagato and Naruto stuff, like with the reviving everybody, makes so much more sense. Like rewatching it, like and like when I was younger, I was like, "Yo, why Naruto didn't just kill this fool?" Blah 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 blah. Then I like just rewatching, and it was like, bro, if Naruto kills Nagato here, all it does is repeat. All it does is repeat the entire cycle all over again. And Naruto is paying now, and like in Naruto's standpoint had to be, I know it's done. How did you get to this point, and how can we prevent that in the future?
Yeah.
And then Nagato's whole thing is that I've tried my way. All my way has done so far is build more people like me. Let's try your way, Naruto. It's literally that's a simplified version, but that's what it boils down to. And honestly, like when we talk about the PTSD and stuff, I know people hate Boruto, but that is the product of everything that we're talking about now. That is the product. That's the product. like that's the end result. Kids get to live normal, happy lives. They
Yeah,
may go on
yeah.
missions, but they're just like saving cats and stuff. Like
It's
we
just
say,
not so exciting to read anymore, right?
yeah, it's not exciting to read, but to me it kind of is because I do want to I like to see the end result of everything that like all the pain and bloodshed that's happened over these hundreds of
Yeah.
years. This is the result of it, and like it's a shame and a joy to see for me. Like it's a shame that they're no longer having these great ninja battles, but it's also a joy because no one like Nagato will ever be created again. No one
Yeah.
like Sasuke will ever be created again because all the like, of course, there's rogue ninjas and stuff here doing grimy stuff, but then you got the Jonin and stuff to like take care of it, and you don't have to necessarily be the strongest. Like you get to enjoy life. You get everybody gets to have their parents. Everybody gets to have a
Yeah.
loving family. You
And
can
Definitely,
yeah,
it's definitely that's also something that I really like about Boruto. It's actually I don't particularly like Boruto as a character or the children because they're all too Mary Sue-ish for me. But I really just like watching the characters that we know in this peaceful world because that's just something that's so
yeah,
so
okay.
satisfying to see. And I really think that in Naruto, it's often said like the story of Naruto is the boy who never gives up, or just try and you will reach your goal, or sheer determination, or even at the end then fate, whatever. But really, I think the story of Naruto is ultimately just lost children in war, lost generations. Well, because ultimately it doesn't end with children. Like it starts with the children, and then they become adults, and then the entire generation dies. I mean, if you look at Kakashi's generation, the few that survived can now that they are 40 experience peace finally, a lengthy peace where they don't have to fight all the time. They can actually go into retirement and be happily ever after. But many of this generation just died, but just lived through I don't know 2 ninja wars, great ninja wars, plus whatever big
And then,
disasters happened in between.
yeah, like Kakashi and Guy automatically went through like two. The old
Yeah,
Tsuchikage went through like four. Um,
yeah. And it's all
like
generations. And generations before the Konoha went through all the warring states periods. That's also all just lost generations to war, constant war.
And so yeah, like I used to say that as much as people slandered Boruto, it was really good for my slice of life hit because I would just like
Yeah,
throw on some of the episodes of Boruto every now and then. It would be like, this is not the ninja battle at all that like I used to watch Naruto for, but I don't know, some of this is kind of fun. Like the one of the episodes I liked is when Chocho was using the body manipulation jutsu to stay skinny because she wanted an actor to think she was cute. And then like she finally like realized like, no, fuck this dude. I'm out here like burning chakra just to look pretty for this guy. Like, nah, that's dumb.
yeah,
Like like I'm legit regardless, so I'm gonna just do me and he can kick rocks.
but you
Which I
yeah, and I want to say like it's great because kids can have these moments now because in the past it was like, all right, I got back from another dangerous mission. I got 2 weeks to recover, back on the field, and that's all it
yeah,
was.
yeah. That
And
was it.
then like I know you guys probably not watching Boruto, but I do like to sometimes keep up with the Crunchyroll clips. And there was this great clip, and this is why I think Boruto is so dope. Boruto was getting Kakashi to train him because Mitsuki or whatever how you pronounce his name got captured, and Boruto was like, "I'm so jealous of you because you were able to get all this experience and all this fighting." And Kakashi said, and Kakashi said, "I'm jealous of you. You get to enjoy this piece and not have to be as strong as I had to be early on." And I was like, "Holy sh!" It's like these deep character moments that
That's
people
true.
just like overshadow, like just like throw away because they think Boruto is literally just, oh, ha ha ha. It's like, bro, that's a deep moment. And Kakashi was like, we can't be like, we can't choose what generation we're born in or what time period we're born in. We just got to make do with what we got. And he said, and it's really amazing. Kakashi, who's been through more than anybody, it's like, bro, Boruto, I'm really jealous that you can have these problems.
well the thing is also that like Kakashi had his like fumbled the bag terribly as a teacher, if we're being honest.
Yeah, he did.
And then
Yeah,
he
yeah.
and
He
he
admitted it.
learned
He admitted
yeah,
it too.
yeah, and he learned from that too though. And one of my favorite moments in Boruto, like almost none of my favorite Boruto moments are fights. It's usually like character moments where Sasuke is kind of confused because Sarada's upset with him, and Kakashi's like, "Wow, even with that Sharingan, you still can't see what's like right in front of you." Like in reference to like how he doesn't realize that like his
Mhm.
daughter wants like time and actual interactions and dialogue and like that, and instead just thinks it's like going to be about training and stuff like that. Like Sasuke didn't
Yeah,
process that
because
because she
let's be
just was running
honest.
around.
Because
there's
let's
not,
be honest, whenever Kakashi appears in Boruto, it's definitely going to be a great time.
and also like Sasuke, Naruto, all of them, they never had time to think about any of that.
Yeah.
Like nobody in Naruto generation and prior had time to think about someone's feelings and how like they want to go about doing. Like this is like the parents now are learning how to be parents because like unless you were just a regular citizen growing up and you if you were a ninja, your parents couldn't tell you anything.
They were out half the time. Like,
Yeah, like
think about how many times they're like, oh, like there were moments in Naruto where they're like, okay, we're sending these unqualified shinobi on this mission because all the Jonin are busy anyway.
Right.
But we still need this done.
Right.
And there's no issue with it. It's
Like
no.
Kakashi didn't even try to send a dog back or like a hawk back or anything during Zabuza.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something that they're supposed to deal with, apparently.
Yeah. It's kind of like those jobs where like, yeah, like help would be nice, but you got to do what you got to do because no help is coming.
So I guess in a way, I'd also say that Boruto is technically overhated then.
Yeah, I
Boruto.
guess.
Okay, all right. So the anime is definitely overhated, but the manga is supremely overhated. The manga is like the manga is what people will want if they back into Naruto. The anime is getting there eventually, but the anime is what you want to see if you really want to experience the peaceful side of the ninja life. So like the slice of life aspects. But the current Boruto manga, whoo, that's good. That's that good stuff right there.
Like, and okay, on one hand, the Boruto manga introduced something that I was like,
Yeah,
at
they
the
make
same
the
time-
peace kaput.
Well, you might as well like what is it? Like you can spoil people.
Ruining
like,
the peace.
It's the new form, but yeah, like also ruining the piece. Like, and
the new Naruto form.
yeah, like that part, I kind of.
But
But
we don't
I'm
know
like,
what
you know, yeah,
yeah,
but we don't know enough about it yet. So I'm like, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I'm just assuming is Kurama fully being able to come out of Naruto body. Not like fully, but like use his power to its fullest extent. And we all already know that the moment a Jinchuriki is let loose out of somebody's body completely, kind of, or use the full part, the host dies. That's why the seals are in place in the first place. That's all I think it is, but I could be wrong.
Like, because like I always kind of wanted to see him have a transformation like Killer Bee anyway. So I was kind of disappointed that we never got that. But
No,
isn't the also like the reason like I always say this, isn't the reason Naruto's transformation looks like that because he only has half of the Naruto
yeah,
chakra?
but I think he's got the whole thing now.
He has the whole thing now, but I think that this is headcanon, but I say it's just familiar to him, so that's why he uses it. That's the way he learned how to do it. So now he has no reason not to just use it like that. And it's not like it's weaker or anything. It's
He just likes to be shiny Naruto.
yeah, he likes to be cool looking.
Super Saiyan Naruto.
All right. Oh yeah, you're anybody else? I would say anyone else overhated or underrated
Yeah.
or overrated.
Somebody in chat asked what we thought about the Indra Ashura Chosen One's prophecies.
Ooh.
I think that is honestly the weakest part of Naruto as a whole for me.
Yep.
Because
I think-
it undermines a lot of the stuff, especially pre time skip like with the Neji Naruto fight. But
The main thing I don't like about the Indra Ashura thing is that it basically makes it like, and then like you combine that with the Child of Prophecy thing that got slapped on Naruto with like the Toads and Jiraiya. It basically means that Hashirama and Madara failed because destiny, not because they just couldn't see eye to eye, not because of the clan tensions or any of the other stuff.
yeah,
And it like undercuts the nuance of that writing by making it just that part I don't really like.
Yeah, I think it's in a way probably the reason, one of the reasons why now that and the Kaguya thing, probably the reasons why Naruto is now very harshly criticized in hindsight. I think if that weren't the case, Naruto would be viewed much kinder in hindsight. I have to say now that I think of Naruto more as a story about overcoming this history of war, I think the idea of having these two destined figures that are supposed to end war makes sense over just having a story about a boy that overcomes their own struggles. I don't think it's well done because I don't really believe in these prophecies. I don't really believe that these prophecies function that well as a story because it's in a way it takes, even if it makes sense in a narrative way, it takes away from a lot of things that were achieved through so much hard labor.
Yeah.
And also I think now if we go to Boruto and we get into a new conflict with with a new evil, it's always a bit weird to have this character of prophecy that's supposed to bring peace, and that then does bring peace, when in the sequel a few years later that piece is through whichever way broken again. That kind of takes away from the prophecy, because it's okay, now we have a 10-year, 20-year, or maybe a 30-year peace break, but it's still not like the end of wars. It's just a pause.
Well,
Yeah, the
to be
aliens are
fair,
still coming.
peace on peace on Earth, but he can't. The toads can't prophesize
Who
like outer
could have
world.
known?
Who could have known? Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, so
One thing I will say is that like the other thing that would have made the Indra and Ashura thing better is if Hashirama and Madara weren't a part of the cycle, and they just happened to have been strong people.
yes,
Because then it would have been like, okay, they like, yeah, it would be like they failed as not part of the cycle, and like, then it's like, well, just you made the children of prophecy, the end. Not they technically had half the conditions to be the children of prophecy, but because they didn't get the prophecy too, they failed.
yeah,
Not a term of a constant cycle of reincarnation, but rather just one time where they are.
yeah.
Yeah.
If Naruto and Sasuke would have been the only reincarnations, I think that would have been better. I think that Hashirama and Madara being the failures is kind of because it's kind of
It
like
also-
because like they're literally Naruto is literally the reincarnation of Hashirama. Like even if you say it's Indra Ashura, but you could also look at it as Naruto's the reincarnation of Hashirama, then Sasuke is of Madara. It's like it kind of takes away from like because in my opinion, Madara and Hashirama are completely different characters than Naruto and Sasuke, like completely different people.
Yeah, it also would make more sense in the sense that if there is this constant cycle where as soon as both die, they get reborn, that would mean that before Hashirama and Madara were both born, there would have been a further a prior generation.
Yeah.
I mean, not only do we never hear anything about that, but when we meet them first, they're like very small children. So whenever the last one of them died, can't have been that long ago, because they would have been instantly reborn. And but this Chia and the Senju were at war for so long, and there was apparently never an attempt at making peace. So the entire prior generations just didn't care, or what? And
Yeah,
also
like-
there was like no wood, not many wood users before, so all these prior generations didn't know wood.
Well, isn't wood like a special KK Genkai?
The fact that none of Hashirama
Yeah.
had a daughter that couldn't use it, though, is still like, or a granddaughter.
Yeah. Like it's like when you get into like some of the minute details, it's like, but
there's a bunch of weird little things that end up popping up.
But again, that's why I was saying like on a technical level, I don't think Naruto's the best, but like just overall, like grand scheme, like big picture stuff, like it's pretty amazing. All right, let's get to y'all overrated, overhated. We talked about Naruto for a
I was also going to say, like, one thing that I really liked about this is that the war thing that we were talking about also kind of ties in with something that's happened in the 1,000-Year Blood War and Bleach, where when the Quincy pull up, there's like a bunch of stuff happening, but somebody on the Soul Reaper side, they're like, wait, like if this is a war that's been planned for a long time, blah, 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 who's right? And then another character just kind of looks at me and goes, well, that's the thing about war. Both sides are always justified.
Yeah.
Because once you start killing each other, we have the right to kill each other.
Yeah.
And whoever wins is the one who decides who was right at the end. And so that in of itself, I thought was a really important theme of like the 1,000-Year Blood War. Because like transitioning, I think the 1,000-Year Blood War is actually fucking overhated.
Yeah. I think it really suffers from like the last 10, 15 chapters, because it felt rushed in many ways, and many
it was rushed.
And many conflicts that we thought would be happening, like something with Uryu, was very much just cut short. But before that, there are so many aspects about that I really enjoy a lot. Like I say this again and again, Mayuri in 1,000-Year Blood War arc is just the most enjoyable thing ever.
When he shows up in his suit of all light.
Yeah, he's just
like,
this firefly.
You can't sneak up on
He's
him.
so ridiculous. He's so ridiculous. He's like, yeah, okay, I figured out you're hiding in the shadows, so I have no single shadow in my entire laboratory.
And like for me, some of the things that I like Baz B was actually a really good character. Like how the Hoshwalt and Baz B stuff, where you had a character even like within the faction of the Quincy's that understood that Xiaohuak was a part of the problem that was like screwing them over too. So he was going to get strong to like take him out because they didn't need that. And Oswald wanted to do that too originally, but eventually, because he got pulled in close, like ended up leaving all that behind. It's kind of in an interesting way. It kind of parallels like Rukia and Renji, but there's like no romance attached at the end. Uh, but there's a certain amount of like nuance within the story, like the flashback that explains White, the where everything about the rain is what that story arc is called, where you finally get to understand why Ishin and Ryukin Ishin didn't know each other was actually really damn good. The Bondrite
Yeah.
as opponents, I actually like more than the Espada because the Espada. So the way Bleach kind of works is that when you break it down, they effectively in the Soul Society they go to heaven and challenge the gods. That's basically what happens. And during
Yeah.
Quaker Mundo, Karakura Town, they challenge the demons of the world, but then it's flipped and the humans become like ultimately like Quincy are humans that just happen to be
Yep.
like another species, and the humans become the villains of the final arc. The humans that are raised up to the point where they want to like take out God, and so there's this rebellious nature to it all, and that is what I like about the Bondage. Um,
Yeah.
Honestly, like this has been too much positivity for my liking about the Thousand Year Blood War. And, like, bro, oh my, like it is such a disappointment in every sense of the word. Is it like maybe I have to go reread it, but just like
Please do.
from
Wait, when's the last time you read it?
since it ended, like it
Yeah.
pissed me off that much that I just could not go back. Like it tarnished like because like going off of the what's the previous arc, the Fullbring arc.
Yeah.
Also, I think that arc. Now that arc, I think is overhated. I think that arc is completely overhated. But that's neither here nor there. Going off of that arc, and then like get the start of the Thousand Year Blood War. It's like, oh my god, Kubo's back, baby. We back. And I was like, chapter after chapter. I'm like, this is amazing. You get to the Yuha versus Yamamoto, and you're like, holy shit, did that just happen? Your mind is blown. And Kubo is just put his dick on the table. It's like, Bleach is back. And you're like, this is the greatest shit ever.
Like
Ah.
Kenpachi no Hana.
Yeah. Then after the Yamamoto stuff, I think that's where it starts going downhill. Now, I don't think that it was bad. I just think that the quality just wasn't as good. So, like when Ichigo starts going to Squad Zero, finding out that the Soul Ting is like a gem from like Bejeweled, like you get all this other stuff, and it's just like, okay, it's cool, but it's just not as good as the previous stuff. And then when we get into the third act where everyone's fighting, that is 100% the weakest part of the Thousand Year Blood War, and it's terrible in my opinion.
I
Like,
think that the third arc, like it's the same as kind of like the Kaguya part, where it like slides randomly towards the like the back end.
Yeah.
like
I think overall the arc to me had a little bit in the beginning the one weakness that it had a lot of characters and it wasn't utilizing all of them to the extent that it could have. I think there were a lot of Bandreich characters that nobody really cared about. Let's be honest. Which is fine because there were a lot of them, but there were also a lot of Shinigami which were there but just didn't do anything despite finally being there and able to do something. Like for example the Wizard, where I don't know why they were never used or utilized in this entire arc. Not just Shinji, who really was never utilized, but even the Wizard that actually got a fight, like Kensei or Rose, but just
They
washed.
both got folded by the miracle.
They were just washed. That was it.
and the biggest. Oh, go ahead.
And I think that was a bit disappointing. And it also then there was a lot of stuff that was set up about other characters that should probably do something, but then because the arc slid so fast and had to end so quickly, we never saw that. Like, that definitely was set up for a Hisagi moment, which we never got.
Oh right? Yeah, okay, yeah, no, Hisagi did get like shafted, but I will also say that what happens to the Rose and I can't remember the other guy's name. Kensei, they both deserve it because they both explained their abilities, and
yeah,
so that was a moment where Kubo was like, okay,
wait, Kensei explained it. I know Rose explained it, but
yeah, he explained that like he was trading vacuum waves and as long as he was in contact with them, the punch would keep cycling through. All he had to do was just like hit the nigga and not explain shit.
Right.
So like the dude.
No, of course they deserved it. It's just I just thought it was disappointing because they were Wiser, which are supposedly strong, and they are captains, and they finally get their job back, and we really only see one fight where they get immediately washed.
All right, so here's my three biggest disappointments.
Bankai reveal end.
Here's my really three biggest disappointments with the Thousand Year Blood War arc. The one, this is the least one. We never saw Aizen's Bunkai. That pisses me off to this very
Yeah.
day.
Yep.
I like if his Shikai is that strong, why have we never seen his Bunkai, especially against the greatest villain that has ever been in Bleach?
Maybe he can't use it.
Two, no, actually, it's four things. Two, Ichigo, we never seen Ichigo powers. That is just so stupid to me. That like, oh my god, was I heated? Was I heated? We didn't even get a panel or a page of him doing anything. It was just
Yeah.
boom, cool, okay, cool power up for nothing, cool design for nothing.
Look, it's an
Three,
egg-shaped Zangetsu.
Grimjow. Oh my god. Look, look. Let me tell you, I was one. I
Pure
was on the.
frustration.
Everybody's like, "Oh, Grimjaw's coming back." I was on the opposite end of the spectrum. I was like, "He is back. That character is done for. I love Grimjaw, but he is done for. He is not coming back. For you to bring him back, get me hype, and him do not. Oh my.
Hold up.
Ugh. No,
He took out the
no.
gift.
Did he,
Yeah,
did he have a second release?
He took out the gift, bro.
Did he have a second release?
he didn't show
It's
it.
okay.
The only thing he really showed was
Okay.
actually, I think, like a halfway first release. Like
Dude,
Okay.
they should have had if you bring Grimjaw back, he had to have been training and he had to have had a second release. There's no reason Grimjaw should not have had a second release.
So
No
you just
reason
wanted
at all.
you just wanted a longer Grimjow fight.
I would have absolutely loved
But
to see more.
but
Grimjaw.
there's
Okay,
no
that's a meathead complaint. You got to realize that.
no.
though.
It's
Yeah,
not.
I know.
It's not a meathead
No.
because you didn't need to bring him back. Just leave him dead.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Grimjaw was one of these characters that, together with Neliel, was again something they should have done something because they ended the show prematurely. They just didn't get into it.
Like there's
I
like
definitely think they both would have according to plans played a bigger role in the fight against what's his name, Naklavar.
you.
Naklavar?
No, come on. Yeah.
And they just didn't have time for that, so they off-screened it completely.
Also, like what Nell said in the chat, this is the first time I've ever said this. Please do anime original content. Please do. I
Yeah,
am begging you, do
Nah,
anime original content.
Ishida. When we talk about Uryu not getting.
All right, real quick. That was my fourth complaint. That was my first. Ishida is my favorite character in Bleach. And when we were told that he was the spy, like he did betrayed, bro, you don't understand. I was like, my favorite character is getting this. I am hype. When he did, like when the third part came and nothing happened with him, I was like, cool. That's what I get for liking the weird guy. Every anime, I like Leorio, I like Usopp, I like every time they just get shafted.
but let's be honest,
Sokka's the
Ishida
only
is not
one.
as frustrating as Leorio.
Yeah, true. It's for real.
Like Ishida got a good ability at the end too. So like that was the other thing.
He did fight Ugram, right? Ugram.
He fought Hashbal.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and so that's when you reveal that you find out he's the antithesis, which I was like, cool. But then it was like Hashbal's ability counters Uryu's ability, so like, what does it matter? Even though like technically, if Uryu had used his ability before Hashbal had transformed, he probably would have been able to win just because he would have been able to do anything about it, which is like a little ironic, but.
I just remember when that first came out that he betrayed them. It was like, oh, he's going to be the next Sasuke, which he always was kind of teased as being like. Everybody always said it. As soon as there was like some little tease of him going some other way, everybody thought he's going to be the next Sasuke, which is, I think, a big problem in the anime community, that every time a potential a actual friend potentially goes rogue, they are supposed to be Sasuke.
Also, like real quick, like this is the way I pictured it going, and it like I think this would have been great. I picture Yuha dying earlier on in the arc, and Ishida taking his place fully, and the final fight be Ichigo versus Ishida, and it tying it back to the very beginning about how they had this feud and stuff. And I really wanted Ichigo to kill, like, even though Ishida is my favorite character, I would have loved Ichigo to kill him, and it being this big, like, sad moment where the ending is not happy, it's very somber.
So you reminded me of this movie called X, I think. Old anime film. There was like 7 dragons of Earth, 7 dragons of Heaven, and like there's like this huge war. But basically, as this dude becomes more powerful, his best friend ends up looking more like him, and he becomes like his friend is basically forced to become him, and he has to kill his buddy in the end of the movie with the sword that was ripped out of their love interest's body.
See,
So
that's
this is
it's basically
I-
it's basically similar to his friend supposedly betraying him, then not betraying him after all, and then killing the enemy with a sword made out of the iron in the mother's heart. It's the same.
Yeah, like I
Such an
don't know.
asshole.
Like I just don't.
no, because that was set up like 102 chapters, like 200
Yeah.
chapters ago, where they were like he was like, I never wanted to be a doctor because like I saw my dad like fucking operating on my mom's heart, but then like you think back to everything but the rain.
Yeah, but
So it's like all these
it was
things
still
that explain.
it was still in like the chapter before it was revealed. It was like, by the way, there's this weapon. The thing is, if you tease something, so it's very vaguely teased. It's not something that you could ever have guessed from this small tease of there was an operation on the mother's heart. Because why wouldn't there be an operation at the mother's heart, right?
Well,
You wouldn't think that the operation was to get some metal out of the heart to then kill this bad
what I liked
evil
about it.
overboss with it.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Okay, so during the 1,000 Year Blood Work, it's not shield smite, that's the name of the swords. There's a certain type of silver that's pulled from the hearts of Quincy's that have been killed by the Ashvalan. Which I don't know if I'm like butchering these or not, Says. You can make fun of me if I am. But
Auswahlen. It's butchered in the Japanese too.
okay, so that's why I can't say it right for sure. Like I had no chance from the beginning. But like they take the silver out of the heart, and that's what they're used to forge arrowheads, specifically to poison and damage Yawa, because of the fact that like basically it takes the power and then it just causes issues inside their bodies. The only reason why Uryu's dad survived was because he was pure-blooded, and Uryu somehow managed to survive even though he wasn't. And so to make sure that it didn't happen, that's what leads to Uryu's dad doing research on the mom's body, and that's also what screws over Ichigo's mom. Because she ended up losing her powers when that happened, and that's how she was capable of losing the Grand Fisher, which she would have actually been able to body.
Honestly, you're saying all of this, and I don't remember any of it. I'm pretty sure it's because like I tried to like.
Yeah, it was really something that, while it was as Aniki so clearly mentioned, insinuated, very very vaguely, thinly insinuated before. It was something that really only was explained like the chapter before Yuha was finally taken out. That there is this magical arrow tip that can actually do the job.
Oh yeah, so okay.
It's basically like a poison created within Quincy's that can kill any Quincy, so even Yahluk is not immune to it.
Okay, cool. Also,
So,
oh, go ahead.
so yeah,
well,
we would have no way to know.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that the Blood War is overhated at all. Like, I think the hate is justified. I think
you gotta
think that
reread it.
I will reread it, but it's just like there's so many things in there that I just like Rukia's Bankai. Like I don't remember particularly being too excited about that when that happened.
The issue with Rukia's Bankai is the same issue with what that led to Kubo getting driven off Twitter, which is that, like, yes, when Itachi died, somebody killed themselves. But like when Kubo killed Byakuya, he was getting tons of death threats, like tons and tons and tons and tons of them. So much so that like he literally had to just like get off social media to an extent where like he was just kind of like, you know what, let me not keep getting death threats and have to worry about being stabbed in the streets because I killed off a character. And the way he was gonna kill, like Neil said he didn't like how Byakuya would have died. Personally, I was all for it because Byakuya had so much pride in like his Bankai, so much pride in his clan, so much pride in just like everything that he'd achieved, that him being murdered by Asnot with his own Bankai being done dirty in such a way, like that would have hit for me.
Oh yeah, I forgot Byakuya was brought back to life. Oh my god, y'all making me hate it more.
I don't mind it that much. I like Byakuya.
I like him too, but I don't think he should be brought back. This is the same issue I have with Naruto. It's like
but that's the death threats thing. Like I can't blame them. The Jump editorial like kind of was like, yo, dog, you got people trying to kill you. You might want to.
Whoa, okay. Like I'm not gonna say that. Yes, it's an excuse, but it's still I'm not like
I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that narrative decision. But like when I found out about that, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna sit here and. Like,
yeah, I mean, if I get death threats, I would just okay, bring that character back. I mean, I've watched that movie where some fan took the author hostage and forced them to rewrite the entire book. I watched that movie.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so like it's like once you start getting fans like that, it's like, let me chill out. Let
We just bring this character back, right? I miss
like
him
it's
anyway.
like it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk to my life
It's
for
really
this
not.
one thing. Yeah,
I understand the decision, but like again, I didn't know that. So me just reading it, all I see is Byakuya's getting brought back to life. So
yeah.
it's,
Which is also why you notice he doesn't get to like he doesn't do anything super significant the rest of the arc though, besides like show up and like give Rukia kind of a pep talk.
Doesn't he play a significant role against Gerard?
Like I think they fight the like what's his name?
Yeah, the big guy, Gerard, right?
Yeah, but like that fight technically.
I mean, it's him, Hitsugaya, and Kenpachi, right?
Right, Hitsugaya and Kenpachi do way more in that fight than he does.
Tarnish said if Hori killed Bakugo, he gonna have to bring him back too.
Yeah, like that's the thing is that like you gotta. There's certain risks that like you can take in the story, but then there's also like the whole don't get murdered because you want to write a story. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not your fault, but like just don't take those chances. Like you can tell you got some Pharaoh fans over some small things here and there. Like has anybody you guys watched Agretsuko?
Who?
Agretsuko.
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh man, it's the anime that's basically a bunch of animals, but like anthros or whatever, and they work in the office on Netflix. The whole point is during the third season, one of the girl joins a pop band, and they have this thing where people can like pay money to like shake the pop star's hands for 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
So this dude pays enough money to like shake her hand for like 5 minutes straight, and like just pulls up and is like calling her a piece of shit, a slut, and saying she's ruined the band and all kinds of other stuff, deserves to die, she's complete and utter scum, blah 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 blah. And like he's like, oh look, it's only been 30 seconds, and then he's like just still shaking her hand, just saying like all this fucked up shit to her, and then eventually stalks her and tries to stab her to death.
Yep. The only reason why I, in hindsight, still the thing is, I have actually no problem with Byakuya surviving this because I never have a problem with character surviving it, no matter how asshole it is. The only problem I have a problem with it because it just stole Renji of his chance to become a captain. Because I am 100% certain that the plan was that Renji takes over after Byakuya. Because that was set up from the start for Renji's character arc in many ways, that he takes over after Byakuya. But then Byakuya survived, and everybody becomes a captain but Renji in the end. Like, there are like 3 new captains, and Renji is not one of them, and he actually knows his Bankai the longest, and is probably the strongest among them.
Yeah, because the extra time that Rukia would have spent learning how to master her Bankai would have just been him getting better with his Bankai. So
and I think even like Tsusaimon became like Eva Tsusaimon, the Division 9 vice captain became also captain, I think, because the other captain turned into a wolf permanently.
Yeah.
And it's like, does he even know his Bankai?
Yeah, the what's his name did get turned into a wolf forever, Kamamura.
Yeah, and his vice captain became a captain, and Renji didn't, because apparently Tsusaimon is now Tetsusaimon. I don't know what his name really is. That is apparently stronger than Renji. Apparently more worthy of becoming a captain than Renji. Never showed a Bankai in the show.
Yeah, that's a bit of a mistake. But that's something that probably would have got fleshed out. Also, Old Man Yama did have one of the best go outs, and I actually really love Kyoraku's Bankai. Like the captain with the flaming, like the flower Hori. Ooh, all right. Since we've done 2 of the big 3, are we gonna do One Piece 2?
All right, so here's real quick. Here is my new addition to the cast of Overrated versus Overhated. One Piece is underhated.
One Piece is
Underhated. Underhated. It's underhated. It needs more hate. There's not enough people hating. And there's not enough people hating what's going on in post task if it want for my liking. This shit is garbage.
I've been saying that I don't like post time skip since I think the beginning of Dressrosa, and people were laughing at me, were telling me that I'm ridiculous because Post-TS is great, but slowly people are catching up to the fact that Post-TS is really not that great. The thing is, I will always like One Piece for what it.
I love One Piece. I love One Piece.
And so I will not say that One Piece is a show that I think is a bad show. You will never catch me saying that. But at the moment, I'm really so frustrated with it. And I'm really also so frustrated with just how overhyped it is. Like, I'm so annoyed by this whole Goda stuff. Like, he's
Oh my god.
he's infallible. Like, he cannot do a mistake. I really think that he should probably get an editor that actually cuts out stuff.
So
Oh, go
here's
ahead.
my thing. I'll say that in some ways, One Piece gets too much hate. Depending on what, like, you'll have some people say like there's nothing good about like One Piece at all. They'll act like Enies Lobby didn't exist. They'll like, and then, and like the messed up thing is that then you have like One Piece will like get overrated in the sense like you do have the Goda thing. The Goda phenomenon is one of the most bullshit things I've ever fucking ran into.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, and it's so widespread. Like, everybody who's halfway a One Piece fan somehow believes into this narrative that he's infallible.
And like you have this weird ideology that like people are like, well, no, that's just how Oda writes. You're not allowed to be like disappointed that it took Act 1 and Act 2 and like 30 chapters in Act 3 before we got to Onigashima. And they're like, well, what do you mean, bro? It's supposed to have all this set up, and it's like, okay, but we've been studying at Wano since Punk has it. Technically, since Thriller Bark.
We've been setting this up. That's the thing. We've been setting this arc up for 300 chapters before we even went to Wano. And now we get another 300 chapters of setting it up.
I'm going to let y'all go because my spiel is going to be a lot longer. So I'll let y'all go first.
So, and like, here's the thing. There's great parts within Wano that I enjoy. But one of the things...
What there are?
Like, I enjoy the law stuff because I enjoy law.
Oh, okay.
I enjoy like the DS Drake reveal.
Because you enjoy Drake.
Yeah, because I enjoy Drake. Like, I enjoyed the flashback parts that focus on Roger and Whitebeard. I think, like, so for example, one of the things that you cannot convince me has been handled well are the scabbards.
No, they haven't.
Like, they have, like, Kinemon I kind of like, but like not enough to really care. Kanjuro's betrayal means nothing to me. The dude's been like, he was like basically a gag character most of his time on screen. Like Raizo, okay.
Which one was Raizo again?
Yeah,
I know.
Hawkins, I would have liked Hawkins more if specifically the power scaling Zoro Stan community didn't lie and try to be like, Hawkins was beating Law. And I'm like, literally, the dude shot him with Sea Stone and still couldn't capture him. How the fuck is that a W? How do you take someone's superpowers, keep your powers, have a gang of niggas, still fail to capture them, and then you got people claiming that? So I'm like, no, there's certain things that just kind of weren't, like, even though I understood them, clearly they were not handled well enough for the One Piece, like written well enough or clear enough for a good chunk of the One Piece fandom that properly understand that. When you consistently have all these misunderstandings, there has to be something at play here. You could argue that it's just a bunch of people obsessed with agenda, but I think there comes to the point where you have to go, you aren't writing your story clearly enough. If these conversations happen like every 5 chapters, or something being completely thrown out of context by the fandom that people can't understand properly. To a certain, like, that's all I can think of at that point. And like certain things that are considered like super dope foreshadowing, the other thing that I don't like, you don't count for other series. That's one of the things that I don't understand. So like you have like with like Jinbei, he was like talked about like by name like, once during like Arlong Park. So then you could talk about how like, oh, so during this happened, like something you could give like a similar example. Like in My Hero, you could be like, okay, well, Tetsu promised that he would beat up Shoto when he got his hands on him. And Tetsu also was ranked in the top 10 during the entrance exams. You can see it on the panel, so you know that the character was always planned to be impressive and then have a good showing. So that was foreshadowing structure that Horikoshi was setting up. And then you'll have One Piece fans tell you that that's not good enough, but literally, and it doesn't count as foreshadowing. But then, you know, like Oda.
Then they are like, look, there on this T-shirt there was a number 2, and the number 2 stands for the second member of the Destroyers, and the second member of the Destroyers in this arc does this particular thing. That was so fortunate because this T-shirt had number 2. You're like, huh? What?
Exactly. Like you, like color pages are allowed to be foreshadowing and all kinds of other stuff, but actual on-panel foreshadowing in other series, One Piece fans will like wipe their ass with because it's not Oda.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we've had I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago this discussion about me thinking you have to flesh out secondary characters more to make me believe that they actually can't keep up with the main characters. The particular group of people I was thinking about then mostly were the Supernova, because I am so frustrated with how he handled the Supernova, because I can't believe that they are in any way comparable to Luffy or even Zoro if I don't know anything that they have ever done. And the only thing I know is that they have failed doing certain things. Law being in this point the single exception because he's the only one where we know anything about, and that's one of these aspects where I really love the Supernova character. I really like them a lot. Like since Sabaody, they've been some of the characters I've been looking forward to most. You know, I'm a Kid fan. I enjoy the Kid moments in Wano, but they are legitimately the only thing that keeps me reading Wano at this point. Even if like Zoro is my favorite character since forever, I don't even want to see the Zoro moment anymore. I just want to get rid of Wano at this point. It's I didn't even particularly enjoy the Whitebeard flashback anymore because it's just so dragged on. I just feel like it's he's expecting me to like characters just because other characters like these characters, and it's like the essential problem with the Scabbards, where it's not just that I don't like about any of these characters, but that I'm given essentially no chance to like them, because we meet these characters one after the other. I can barely remember their names by the times we have met the next character, and then next chapter we all land on the beach and are supposed to care that they were now apparently betrayed. And but then within like the next 5 seconds of the betrayal, within the 5 seconds of oh what happened to these boats, we find out what exactly happened to these boats. Then we find out exactly how the samurai, how Oroshi's people could find out about what happened to the boats, and that is that apparently there's a traitor. And then within the chapter, we also solve the entire problem with Denjiro, aka Kyoshiro, popping up and solving the entire issue. And it's like, okay, there was apparently like a huge miscalculation, but I didn't really have time to process that or even to worry because it was already solved by the end of the chapter. But we have so much time to set up shit that is boring, but we can't, I don't know, let this one moment of tragedy drag on for a little bit.
Because that's the other thing, is that like all of that was basically set up for a joke. And that's one of the things that blows my fucking mind.
And then I'm supposed to care that Kinemon is now crying. Yeah, I kind of like Kinemon. I don't want him to die, but I can't really feel for this because this entire thing is just a joke. There's the problem. We solved the problem. Laugh about it. Oh, and Kanjuro is a traitor. Yeah, okay.
Like, it was literally set up so that you could get that panel of Kinemon looking confused after they gave him credit for being so smart.
Yeah.
All right, so is it my turn? Can I go?
All right, so get your air out.
All right. So here's the issue with
Wait, let me make notes so maybe I can say something about this.
Okay, yeah, this is gonna be like, let me just go ahead and get it all out. So the issue with post time skip isn't that it's inherently just terrible, right? The issue is that we're comparing One Piece to itself, and the issue is pre time skip. While I do think the earlier parts of pre time skip was like a little above average, maybe average at times, the Water 7 to end of pre-time skip is arguably the greatest run in shonen history, of just arcs consistently being either 8 to 10. Like you could like I think there are 9 to 10s, but I'll give room for argument's sakes. People don't like Thriller Bark like that. I think it's amazing, but from Water 7 to the end of pre-time skip, even the Ace Sabo Luffy flashback album, count that in as well. Oh my God! Like, how can you say that Oda is not one of the best writers in Shonen Jump? Period. Then we get the post time skip. You get the reunion. Fantastic. All these characters reintroduced. Oh my God, Usopp is brave now. Oh my God, Nami has big titties. Cool. Oh my God, Chopper is kawaii now. Oh my God, Zoro lost the eye. Sanji has this perverted thing because he's been around non-women like for 2 years. Luffy is OD powerful. You have these great introductions to everybody, and like we get off of Sabaody, and it's like, baby, we're here again. And then we get Fisherman Island. Okay, cool. Fisherman Island wasn't the best, but we're getting back in the swing of things. It's one arc. It's still it's One Piece, baby. It's golden, baby. It's like we're gonna get it. And then we go from from Fishman Island, I'm giving a pass, right? I'm just imagining like giving Fishman Island pass. It's Oda getting back in the swing of things, especially introducing new characters, new powers. He has introduced a lot of new stuff. So okay, cool. He's setting up everything again. Punk Hazard. This is where I draw the first issue. There is not a single reason that Zoro should tell Luffy that he has to toughen up or like you be serious now because we're in a new world. Previous to the 2 years, you lost all your crewmates to Kuma. Then you lost your brother at Marine Ford. You were supposed to learn then that you can goof around when y'all on the ship, but the moment that you get into a fight, it has to be serious.
Also, Rex, I want to just add something to that point real quick.
Yeah.
It especially gets annoying when you fast forward to Wano and Zoro has done nothing to collect
Okay.
samurai until
Yeah.
like they get there, which makes it extremely hypocritical. Keep going.
Yeah. So you have that happen in Punk Hazard. You also have, which I think is the complete downfall of post time skip of post time skip One Piece. Whereas instead of going island to island and things just happening and eventually arriving at a destination, you have for the first time in One Piece history, we have a goal and a destination, and we have a plan and a goal to reach that destination. So we're hitting for that goal and destination, and that is the plot to defeat Kaido. I think this is the biggest issue with post time skip because when you have a specific goal and destination in mind, Luffy is now going into these territories specifically to do something instead of being reactionary. One Piece works better as a story when it's reactionary and the Straw Hats are reacting to the situation. But when they're the ones inciting conflict, it makes it so that one, now there has to be this amazing setup for the area that they're going to. Because you need a reason why the Straw Hats are inciting conflict in this area. Dressrosa, for example, you have to get all these backstories and stuff. You don't need all of that with Drum Island because guess what? They're just reacting to it. You don't need all of this in like Alabasta for like everybody because you're reacting to it. You don't need all this setup for these islands and stuff because you're reacting to the situation at hand. But when you get into excited, like you have to have a reason why the Straw Hats is disrupting the peace or the supposed peace in its place. Now you need the backstory for all these places that you go. So it's like that hinders the fun aspect of One Piece. And also now you have to develop all these characters and you get the worst arc in One Piece which is Dressrosa, in my opinion. Where now you have to set up Rebecca, you have to set up all the Grand Fleet and all this. Dressrosa could have been like 50 or 100 chapters shorter. Like it gets to the point where people say, "Oh, Oda is setting up. You got to let him cook." And this goes for One Piece, for Wano as well. The moment that we got the plot to defeat Kaido, all the shit up should have been done before we got to Wano. You could have easily have had somebody slip away from Wano, meet up with the samurai that Luffy's traveling with, and be like, "This is the current state of Wano." And literally, that solves all the issues we have with all the setup in Wano. Like, and you say, "Oh, but we know that Wano is a border country." Like, it's a story. You can bullshit your way in happening. But you're saying that time travel and all of this is a lot better than just having some like the issue with the time travel is you could have literally had it like if you knew this was going to happen at any point in Punk Hazard, Dressrosa, somebody could have discovered a book, the time fruit, whatever, throw the book away. That's all you had to do. And then when us being introduced to time travel is not a big problem. Like then like so that goes from Dressrosa being terribly bad, terribly paced. You have characters getting regressed. Usopp the entire post time skip has been regressed back to how he was before he became Soga King. You have Robin, who trained with Dragon, Sabo, who's around all these revolutionaries who know the secrets of the world, who have all these hockey powers, gets nothing. The most useless character in the Straw Hats. Zoro
Yeah.
hasn't done anything since Dressrosa. You have Luffy, who's getting dumber and dumber in situations that he should be more serious in. You go into Whole Cake Island, says, "I'm here to beat Big Mom," or you're announcing that you're Straw Hat Luffy. You go into Wano, you're doing all like you're supposed to sneak around. You start fighting like random fodder. Like, at what point does Oda realize that he can no longer play this stuff for gags? Like at some point, the series has to. It doesn't have to be super serious, but things have to move at a steady pace where the Straw Hats aren't the Luffy isn't the downfall for why the series is 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 prolonging. And then like you get out of Dressrosa with all the issues that it has, you go to Zoe, which is okay, cool arc, is generally loved. Then you get into Whole Cake, another arc like Thriller Bark that I generally love, but people have mixed feelings about. And I think that in my opinion, Whole Cake Island is the most One Piece arc in post time skip. It has everything that you need. Great character moments from the Straw Hats. Great fights. It has backstory, like characterization, a tragic backstory for a Straw Hat. It has Luffy giving one of his inspirational speeches to one of his crewmates. It has like a unstoppable villain that you don't know how y'all gonna beat or escape. You have Katakuri, which is literally the coolest character in One Piece ever. Like you have everything the makings of a great classic One Piece arc. But the issue is with Whole Cake Island is that it still suffers from a lot of the issues that also bogs down post time skip. So you go from Whole Cake Island to the Reverie, which is like 5 chapters of stuff that we want to know about, but Oda completely shafts it and to speed along to one of Luffy's not in the story to give us nothing but setup for 2 years. I have never seen a series be set up for 2 years, and the setup is literally not good. It's not good
Yeah.
setup. Like the one thing that people have to stop saying is, "Oh, setup has been boring." No, there's been setup in all throughout One Piece, and none of it has been this boring and this like. And then what also makes Wano especially bad is that he regurgitates information chapter after chapter, the same information chapter after chapter, and then we have to learn about these characters we don't know, don't care about. That, and this is the problem with Dressrosa as well. You introduce these characters, like Senior Pink backstory is the perfect example. We learn about this stuff that has no significance to the later on goings on of the arc or the plot as a whole, but we're just putting it just because. Now we have this dude that smiles and gets executed that we're supposed to feel bad for. Sorry, I don't. You get Big Mom amnesia.
Ooh, wait, I want to ask something that real quick.
Okay.
Yasui's backstory was loved because he killed him and then let us know why he mattered. And I don't know how that was supposed to why he decided to do it that way.
Yeah.
Because why would you be like, all right, now that he's dead, now here's why you should care.
But there's
That
no reason
reminds
to
me.
care anymore because he's already dead, right?
Right, like he's already dead, and like we already know the like. I was like, all right, cool. We made a cool political move. The emotional hit wasn't there for me, but I at least understood the political value in what Yasui did with the sacrifice. So I was able to appreciate the political sacrifice, but the emotional tone really, there was like no real emotion for me. Because Yasui, up until we got that flashback after he was executed, was basically just this like kind of annoying dude that like showed up and flattered Zoro a lot. And then Kanjuro and Shinobu randomly spilled the beans to about a bunch of shit in their plans because they didn't recognize him. Which again is like one of those gags that like for Kanjuro it works because Kanjuro was a traitor. But as much shit as Shinobu did, which is another thing that annoys me, like with the way that she like blamed Law and for the betrayals, even though she's literally out here just casually talking to people about shit that she didn't even recognize right away. Like, how are you mad at him and blaming him when he's the one that's trying to like get Luffy not caught, trying to make sure that Zoro doesn't get caught? All these other, there's a bunch of lack of logical consistency where it's obviously that Oda just doesn't want the Straw Hats to deal with the consequences of their decisions sometimes, and that's like when it's blatant, it's annoying. Just like when Big Mom got amnesia, we all knew she was going to break Luffy out of prison.
No, Anarchy. We didn't all know that. There were some people convinced that she was not going to help Luffy in any way. And I was telling people, whether she does it indirectly or directly doesn't matter. Luffy is getting out of prison because of Big Mom. And when it happened, people were like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
What's a flow? But it's like, it's not that bad. I'm like, dude, it's terrible. I literally call Luffy Charlotte D. Luffy. He's not Monkey D, he's Charlotte D because the family is literally there to train Luffy. Katakuri in service to train Luffy. The whole Big Mom Pirates in service to train Luffy. Big Mom in the prison in service to train Luffy. Like there's nothing that literally the Big Mom Pirates are literally there to make Luffy strong enough so he could go against Kaido and everyone else. That's literally what they're there for. And then also like in the chapter like y'all was saying about Sierra Pink backstory. No, y'all missed my point. I love Sierra Pink's backstory. It's top 10 in the entire series. What's the reason it's there? That's the issue is that it serves no purpose at all.
When we talked about the end of Whole Cake, specifically, Bad End Musical is one of the best good on delivery, like good read the day it comes out, but it becomes so worthless later down.
Nothing happens.
Right.
Yes.
You get like this illusion that something bad happened. And then it's literally Jinbei shows up. What up, guys? And then she's like, "You'll pay for what you get in my fleet." Then show me that. Just show me them do it.
You set up this tension. She's dancing. Her creatures are dancing. You're giving us a tiny flashback of how she ate all her friends in a food rush, in a hunger rush, and then she just eats the cake and falls asleep, and that's basically that. And Is it so? Why? It's just what I wanted to add is because I could rant about Postiers like Rex did for so long. I did it several times, but I wanted to add specifically is what frustrates me before I think after that I would give Flo the word because he just came in and didn't say anything yet. But after after all this work that we did, setting up first Wano and then within Wano setting up this confrontation, I am so like what they came up with. You mentioned that as soon as they got the plan, they should have just gone. But the thing is, they barely have a plan, and that's kind of frustrating because their plan ultimately is it was all just how do we get on this island, and now they are on this island, and the plan is yeah we gotta fight Kaido. I mean the plan that Capone came up with against Big Mom that he very spontaneously planned. I mean, he had this plan going for a while, but he very spontaneously fitted it to the Straw Hats who just came on the island without him expecting that. Um, that was a better plan than this plan that they worked in for 20 years and had so much time and so many chapters to set up.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's and like honestly, the issue, especially with Wano, that I have is that I look forward to the acts in it because the stuff in between has been so good. Like
That's the other thing, right?
Yeah,
Like
River Race so both
when
decent arcs, good
like
arcs.
when Moria pulled up on Blackbeard,
I was hype.
that's better than like most of the stuff that I enjoyed that more than most of the stuff that I like have read and watched. And that's
Yeah,
weird to me. That
and then
shouldn't have been better than this.
Like when
yeah,
Moria is more hype than
But basically, what I'm hearing is y'all hating on the GOAT. Our sales ain't been stopped. You know what I'm saying? All I hear is a bunch of cat. Y'all just don't understand the greater mind of how Oda works, and it just shows. All right, y'all don't understand. Y'all read My Hero, so obviously y'all don't know what taste is. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, bro.
yeah.
Go to
That's
so
out,
Flo.
go to out. Our sales top one. You can't beat it.
true, 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 true. Like and like the intermissions are good, but it shouldn't be better what's going on in the act. Like the intermission should be palate cleansers. Like, oh, this is what's going on. Who that? But that stuff that happened in the acts. Oh man, I can't wait to get back to that. You should feel like, oh, come on, hurry up with this intermission. Let's get back. It's not. It shouldn't be the case that you're like, please, intermission, go on longer, please.
Well,
Like
what?
the Kobe reveal, like that he was a part of like Sword, and then like
Mhm.
then him go finding Boa hype. Like and this is also the moment I knew the Oda was rushing the story like fully, and he was really trying to end it in 5 years. Is when we got the Marines sitting down in a room, and we got every single Yonko bounty, and then they said, "Fuck it, Blackbeard Roger. I mean Whitebeard Roger. Here y'all go." It's like, wait, we didn't ask for that. We didn't even need to know that. And like literally the moment that Kaido is having right now, where he's fighting the Scabbards, literally the next chapter when he does something big or something, that and like you like, oh, Kaido really is that nigga. That's when you could introduce his bounty as like Thousand Beast Kaido bounty, blah 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 blah. But the fact that you decided to put it all in a single room and literally give us like this exposition rundown when Oda has never done that in the entire series.
Yep.
It's like,
I think part of me
bro,
thinks that
like, come on.
reason why I liked Reverie and so much. One of the reasons Reverie was great, so was also a good arc. It was mostly set up, so I can't barely judge it by itself. But I think the reason I enjoyed them so much more was probably to a degree because Luffy wasn't in it. I have saying this for a while. I am so oversaturated with Luffy. But now, Flo, do you have anything to say about One Piece? Because you've just been here for a while and we never let you talk.
I don't think Flo's here. He usually would.
He muted real quick. So
Yeah.
I
Alright.
think
Also, his camera usually be on when he's here. So like, I'm
Okay,
All
usually
right,
okay,
I'm gonna
I'll
he's
go.
done.
I'll go then. All right, I'll go then. So this is why One Piece the GOAT is overhated by a lot of people in the stream. You know what I'm saying? So basically, y'all don't understand the greater inner work of Goda and his series. Not just playing. I want to talk about something real quick though. What Rex said about the palette cleanser thing. This is the equivalent. Since everybody in here is a My Hero fiend, this is the equivalent of we will read My Hero, right? And then we got a breather chapter. Like, all right, now currently at UA, sniping Snipe Black Kingdom. Oh my, walking in the hall with Eri. All right, this is what we need to do. Take her here. This, that, and other. That would be a palette cleanser from the niggas dying left and right and getting murked and fucking losing limbs and arms. That's a palette cleanser. That shit with Moria, I don't even read One Piece like that, but I of course I know everything that's going on. Essentially, I can't name you all the Scabbards names and this that and the other. But usually my ear is in One Piece, so I know who the traders, this that and the other, what their plans are, all the prison shit. But even I had to read the chapter where Moria pulled up because One Piece is so dense that there's a lot of things going on in the world that's just not revolved around that. So even I was curious because Blackbeard is one of the most fucking pivotal characters, and we still don't know how this nigga can manage to obtain two devil fruits. How he knew he could do that, and how this nigga just walking around like that, and he's sitting on that island just gassing up. I'm like, this nigga Moria must be have some type of plan. If he pulled up on Blackbeard and his whole crew, and it's like, what is he doing outside of this? And then there's something I don't get is that why would he off screen the referee just because you had to go back to Luffy and those niggas for what? How is anything they're doing more important than this shit? You still got you niggas still like Sabo not dead. They arguing back and forth with this shit for fucking damn near a year now.
Oh, real quick, I wanted to say, um, back to Aniki's point about things being ambiguous. You don't realize this is why Oda is so great, Aniki. This this is this is really this is what I credit Oda for. He leave Oda crafts the vaguest best story I've ever seen in my life. It's good because the vagueness is like cool or whatever, but you don't understand the vagueness leaves open for discussion. That we could talk about My Hero for hours, cool, but One Piece, because things are so vague, you don't understand.
No.
I literally was talking with a group of people. I was hating on One Piece, but we start talking about the possibilities, and bro, was I hype? I know Oda is not going to do this, but like that's the beauty of One Piece, the possibilities, and that's what always brings people back.
But
Honestly and truly, the possibilities that could happen is what gets people hyped. Oh,
Wait,
this
so
could happen.
Rex,
but
are
the
you saying
problem,
that One Piece is the Dabi of manga?
Yes. Oh my
but
God.
the thing is,
Yes.
I don't read a manga because I technically could imagine a better story in this world. I read a manga because I hope that Oda is giving me this good story, and if he doesn't give it to me, then
But
that's
no,
a
no, no.
problem.
Say it. So this is a two-part thing. It's not just he writes like you could craft a better story than him, but is that he has so many open plot threads. That's where the discussions are coming from because they haven't been
Yeah,
answered yet. So
yeah.
because he has 30 or 50 plot threads open, it's like, oh, maybe this will happen. Oh, maybe this will happen. Or maybe this power person scales to this person. It's like because he has so many open plot threads and because he doesn't answer anything and because things are so vague, even when things are answered, like the Luffy Katakuri fight, even when that is resolved, people are still arguing about that today because it's so vague.
Well, I mean, because you have the bit of conversation at the end where Brule's like, "You let him go, didn't you?"
Yeah,
And he's like, "Ha ha ha ha."
it's not something we can discuss. It's basically in canon if you let him go.
Yeah, the Mystery of One Piece is great for YouTube content. It's not even just YouTube content. Go to BDA, go to any server that discusses primarily One Piece. They're not talking about anything that's going on currently in the story. Besides when the chapter
Yeah.
drop, most of the time they're discussing what if scenarios or like things that could happen or things that weren't fully explained by Oda. That's all they're discussing. They're not
Yeah, the thing
discussing
is,
anything true
I
or relevant.
I agree that One Piece has a great world with many great characters in it that can do great things, which lead itself to to great potential stories. But I always, whenever I read a story, world building, the world is just like the secondary factor of why I read a story. I want to read an actually good story, and One Piece has been good for so long, and I still have hope that it will get good again. But it's just at this point he is losing himself, I think, in this world, and it's a real danger when you have such a big world. And I think it's one where he kind of falls into now that he has a lot of character, he has a lot of plot strings, and I think he's kind of losing himself in them.
And one of the things that I think about One Piece is that I think it's good that like Oda, like because he wants to create an adventure, he wants to be a believable adventure. He does want to like have it established, like an actual world established that you can feel moving parts within. Which is why like 2 years ago, back when like Nux was still doing content that I could actually like fuck with, he made a video about how newspapers are one of the best things in One Piece. How if you ever get a chapter where somebody's reading the newspaper in One Piece,
Yeah, it's always
it's
cool.
going to be fucking great.
Yeah.
Like the way that you have the world building in One Piece is one of the most accurately rated things. Like I would say,
Yeah.
I do think it has. Unfortunately, people. This is weird because you have people who understand what makes One Piece's world building great, and then you have people who understand that One Piece has great world building because somebody told them it has great world building, and they're like, "Yeah, we went to a bunch of islands, great world building. Everybody that doesn't go a bunch of places sucks at world building." And that's what sucks because like that. What that really means is that you don't actually appreciate what Oda's doing with his world building, and that frustrates me because like when
I want to
like,
talk about this one because I
what you
think
guys,
I'm the perfect example. So I've binged a good amount of One Piece, right, but not all of it. But like I said, I've done so much into One Piece that, for y'all, this is y'all top one series prior to it falling off, post time skip, whatever gripes you
It's
have
still
now.
people top
But
one.
yeah, but I mean for y'all in here because y'all now your main is MHA, right? Arguably, you're here every Sunday for this. But
I
Oh
mean,
for
yeah,
me, One Piece was never like my go-to, my all in my heart. I just like enjoyed it or whatever. So I had enough stock. I know most of the characters. I know a decent amount. Where I fell off was around Marineford and stuff. So I know pretty much most of the characters and stuff like that at certain events. So I can speak to the world building aspect of that. That newspaper shit, like he crafted the world so nicely that it's always feel like there's shit going on. Even with those cover stories and stuff like that, it's like there's a world events actually matter inside the story other than just Luffy and them are doing. Sometimes they do events that shake the world, but sometimes it's just people doing shit all together. Like the Marines are moving completely separate from Luffy and them right now. Like Kobe and them are doing it like the Shiji, like that shit is like them doing them. They need to take that out. It's like it's a whole world moving. I feel like it's always in motion. Even outside of one, I feel like there's things always going on. That's one of the coolest aspects for me.
and here's the
And
biggest issue.
Morgan the goat, by the way. So
Oh yeah, big news Morgan to go. But here's the biggest issue with One Piece world building. Yes, it's great. Yes, it does things fantastic. But because people literally are in this veil of Oda, they don't understand that world building doesn't have to be done the way that One Piece is doing world building. So anytime anyone does world building any way differently, they think it's trash. And the biggest manga that gets the backlash for this from the One Piece community is My Hero, because you would often hear people say My Hero has no world building or little to none, and I'm like,
Drizzt,
that.
Drizzt.
But like, My Hero has some of the best world building. It's just not them going from city to city or country to country. Anything dealing with the hero society that's fleshed out by Horikoshi is world building, and that's literally every chapter of My Hero. So it's like, Jesus Christ, are you guys stupid?
let me put it this way: like the reason why I can tell that this is like a real thing is because I had a conversation with somebody who was like, "No, that's not world building." I'm like, "Yes, it objectively is." You introduce the CRC, and then you explain that this is a cult that was formed back in the era as quirks were beginning. So this also gives you world history. So that's history is a part of the world that you build up. So you get the explanation that there's been a cult that's formed. They were especially prejudiced. As time has gone on, they've started to die out, but they do still have pockets around the world. They are specifically a religious sect, which lets you know that there's still religion in the context of My Hero Academia, even if it's not as popular. Even though with the advent of quirks, you could argue that there's room for people to just never believe in anything religious again. That still has merit to this society. So you have all these like little details right here, and then like you can start, and then not only that, you cycle later into that same arc, you get the story of Redestro, get the explanation that his mother or his grandmother was killed by quirk mobs, which kind of explains that not only were these mobs a thing, but like that's probably more than likely the foundation of the creature rejection plan was in public, largely accepted at one point, much like the KKK in the South. And so then you have all these like things, and not only that, but then you have world building that also literally parallels real world scenarios, and then somehow you'll have somebody telling you this isn't world building. And it's like, how is it that we can recontextualize, understand the sociological ramifications of the existence of a faction, and then decide that that is not world building within the context?
I actually
Well,
think that in many ways I prefer Horikoshi's world building, not because it is more complex. It isn't. One Piece world building is huge, but I think the distinct difference is that for the most part, My Hero plays in a world that is very similar to our own, and Horikoshi has to. The thing is, if you go about world building, you essentially have the option: either you give us a prologue where you explain the world, or you give us tidbits of information when we go along and we learn about the world when we go along. And especially if, like in My Hero, where we don't have a character who's new to this world. For Deku, who's of course new to the hero society in a way, because he as a student, that's all new to him, the internships and stuff. But the world is something he's lived in, so he's not going to go around telling us every little detail that happened in the past, because for him that's just something that he doesn't need to tell, because he assumes that we know it. And therefore, for Horikoshi, it is very difficult to spray in the tidbits of information that he needs us to have at certain points in time. For Oda, it's different, because Oda, every time we go to a new island, Oda can spend the first 5 chapters on this island, or in terms of one of the first 50 chapters on this island, to establish the culture of this particular island, where we meet the people, we meet the government, we meet the history, we meet the particular conflict of this island, and we need the culture and whatever other, and food and whatever other aspects there is about this particular island. It's kind of small because it's only this one island, but when we go from island to island to island to island, it kind of builds this huge picture of this big world. But it's something where Oda puts a lot of time into telling us how this world looks. But Horikoshi has to give us the same information, and in many ways the same amount of information, sprinkled in a way that we don't see it.
So like
Spinner alone. Oh, my fault. I just wanted to say something real quick. Spinner's backstory alone added to that shit. It's like, bro, that means there's like, oh, look, a lizard, and then you go further in. He was like I just came from some backwater town where they still didn't fuck with people. So it's like shit still didn't change. Just like here in the U.S., there's still backwater country ass towns. If you go, you will find remnants of the KKK where niggas go out every night or go out on a certain night of the week, and they fucking still celebrate that shit, and they will hang you. That shit was not long ago in Stone Mountain, Rex. You remember? I mean, not Stone Mountain, but what you call part that there was a dude, a black nigga that got hung at night by a group. Like, nigga, that was like 2 years ago.
Why?
And also, like, when it comes to world building, I think Oda has an easier job than Horikoshi. Not saying that Oda didn't do what he did masterfully, which he did, but the world building of a fantasy world is a lot easier than to recontextualize the world that we're already living in, because he has to work within the confines of what already exists, and then he also has to reshape it in a way that's unique and like still interesting to deliver. Whereas Oda, he literally, the only limit to Oda's world building is his imagination.
I don't know if it's technically easier, because there comes a lot.
No, okay,
of,
let me rephrase that. I respect
own work entirety.
Let me rephrase it. Says I respect Horikoshi's world building a little bit more, because it does works within the confines of this. Like, it's not easier, but again, like I said, the only limit to Oda's world building is his imagination. Is it easy? Technically, no, but as somebody we know who's very imaginative and is like a supreme creator, like he is a creative, like in every sense of the word. I'm not saying that the content that he brings out is easy to come up with, but it's easier in the sense that literally the only limit to his world building is his imagination, whereas Horikoshi, it's I feel like it's harder to work with him.
I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, Oda has to not contradict himself.
Yes.
But if Horikoshi is going to use our world as effectively a backdrop in the future, then he can't.
You have to see a way in which.
Yeah, like it has to be believably like that. So he has to actually make it a point to like contextualize it in a way that doesn't contradict how our various societies would work and how we react. So, for example, one of the things like in Vigilantes that kind of like plays into that is that the first country to do superheroes officially was America. Why is that? Because it's partially reflective of our obsession with comic book heroes and all that other stuff, but then also we commercialize and really quickly respond to things and like to have ways to put people down, that kind of thing, to like go ahead and have victory. But we also are very selective about who gets to have power, which is reflected in the fact that of like the 400 or 500 people who were trying to do hero work, only 7 of them got approved in America.
Yep, I think where he definitely has it easier is that his genre is in this adventure genre, world building is just much easier.
Yeah.
Especially because he chose to make it in a way that this is a character who does not know anything and is learning with us.
Oh, Flo is here.
Oh.
What up, Flo? You got words to say now? Oh, wait.
You roboted, bro.
Right now, you're the Flo bot. We've been waiting to discuss Hunter x Hunter until you got here.
Yeah, But that's funny because we're on the topic of world building. We can also talk about the greatest manga ever written. Toriko, one of the ghosts ever. Not just fuck with you. I ain't peep that shit. I just know it has amounts of people told me about some parts of the world. That's it's pretty crazy. Like how the new world of One Piece, you have to have certain aspects of certain gear, or you will get fucked over. And it's kind of how it is in Toriko, but like the environments are like a lot more dangerous.
I know much
Like
about Toriko.
like
Well, to be
they was
fair,
telling me about.
there's nothing different between the New World and the Grand Line.
Ooh, except
From
Yeah,
what I've
yeah,
seen,
there is.
from
There
what
is a
I've
little bit. It seems more. It seems in many ways more connected,
no. What I
which is
mean,
weird
what says what I mean is in the dangerous sense.
because this. Maybe.
There's there's nothing that's
Yep.
like as long as you stay away from the Yonko, you're like it might as well be the
True.
Grand Line.
True. No, my main issue with Postius is really just how he handled the time skip. Like, I really think a prime example how to handle the time skip well is actually still Naruto Shippuden, where you just the first arc after the time skip, you say clearly where everybody is at in terms of power. You show their power ups. Maybe you don't show everything, but you show where they are. While here we are like 500 chapters after post time skip, and I still have no idea where these characters are in terms of power.
It's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because I wasn't able to talk back on that stream when you said it, or I thought of it later after the stream. You said that, but it's funny how you were worried about Horikoshi doing that, and then you said no. You referenced Naruto be a perfect way. It's funny enough because even in the 1 week time skip that they had when they did the EA agency, you literally seen what every student learned or combated or grew in
Yeah,
prior to the thing. So it was like it was all on one thing.
I'm
And to think
hopeful
that
he's
it's
doing
like,
it well. It's just that
and,
I am traumatized in many ways from how One Piece did
and,
it.
and then it's like he did this, and it's like, and that's why I battle anybody on a 3 month time skip being too abrupt because what
Yeah.
now not one single arc in MHA is completely the same as others, like verbatim one for one. There's no arc that's always it's always different objector or a different mode or a different theme in each and every single arc. But and that it would have just been okay. We got how many more work studies are we going to get? It would have just been like on repeat once again. Like okay, we got to work study with them. Okay, we got to work study with them. How many times are they going to be life or death situations? How many times are they going to be in another overhaul arc? How many times are they going to be in this? It would have got real repetitive. Because even if you got one, you got to come back for everybody else. And even if we got that, think about it. If we seen what Kaminari and we're doing, with his moment in the arc had been as pivotal, like, well, we just seen him do that. Or had Dark Shadow Ragnarok impressed y'all, had he did that, if he had did that prior to the war arc and then got Redemption off guard or not? Am I right or wrong?
And that's the other thing is that sometimes you're not allowed to like have secrets. It seems like with some of these series where like other series, like that's like the other, I think like older series when they like sit on something for a while and they don't show you right away and then like they do like the time skip. It's like oh no, that came out of nowhere. Like, well, or they blow something out of proportion. That's usually because people have like these weird agendas they want to like downplay. Like, especially in the case of like you mentioned with Redestro, though, where sometimes character like Redestro is a character that I consider to be like way overhated because people act like it's a bad thing that he like did what he did, and then what that really is, and sometimes like this happens in the series all the time where characters can stick to their guns and be themselves. Same thing happened with Toji in Jujutsu Kaisen, where when he like sticks the stick in his ear, they're like, "Oh, I can't believe he did that. That's so lame." And it's like, no. Toji did everything he could for Megumi. He named him Lessons for a reason. His last thoughts of him when he was live were of Megumi. Everything tracks. You just wanted him to be a blind meathead entirely, and that's not actually what Toji is. In the same way,
God.
People wanted that for Redestro, and Redestro wasn't just the Hulk. He was a dude carrying a legacy, trying to achieve something, having to go directly tied to his ideological like system where he believed in the court-based society. He believed that Shigaraki, being who he was, is more fitting with a leader and more representative of the ideals because Shigaraki is not doing this because he was raised and trained and told to be this way, which by and of itself makes Redestro a character shackled by legacy, thus like stopping him from ever being able to be the ideal member of the society until he lets Shigaraki take over. So that's like the issue. Like the crazy big Hulk wild guy that you want to see like was never going to be able to be that way until this happened. So
People get blinded by the gas and they forget to look what's behind it. Like
like
that's the truest fact. They get, but you got people got blindsided by how raw Dexter was. I'm like, yeah, bro, but did you forget how enthusiastic he was and how much he was spitting about quirks being free this entire time prior to meeting the only nigga he's ever met who's truly free besides Toga? Like that nigga was like truly like that nigga was letting it all loose. Like I don't give a fuck. I'm here to destroy everything. I'm letting this shit run loose, baby. That shit is just it is what it is.
also the chat is talking about Big Mom, and like Big Mom is a complicated character because she feels like she's overrated in the story. Like it literally feels like the One Piece story characters respect Big Mom too much for how hard she gets clowned on, and and like, but that's directly a byproduct of like the plot kind of being adjusted to make sure she just doesn't fuck over the Straw Hats, which is in of itself a problem. Like one of the things that, like to me, if you're gonna like put these characters in these positions, you can't just handle it this way where I want her to be there so that you have a sense of terror, but I'm gonna like mean the shit out of her and have her rolled out like a bowling ball because I want to like set her up for a joke too. And I think that's just a case of, yes, on one hand, I like the idea that all the Yonko's legacies are slightly bullshit, but at the same time, you kind of got to make sure you balance it out and do a good job of showing us, like, okay, but there's still a bunch of validity to it, because what it really seems like is just there just wasn't enough people weren't smart enough to handle Big Mom. Because if you look at it to a certain, like a more goofy scenario could have just as easily been just rolling Big Mom into the ocean and GG. And that's why like certain things like that are kind of goofy, because it's like, wait, but like if you just, oh God, that's terrible. So it's like, from that perspective, I think that's one of those characters that I just think is kind of like fumbled, because we never get to see Big Mom, like we almost never get to see Big Mom really get to handle business. That's also why somebody asked why Pound being alive is bad. It's because it further shits on like the weight or the consequences of that arc. Like at this point, the news saying that the Vinsmokes are kicked out of the world government was probably their way of saying the Vinsmokes are fine. And like that issue comes, so it's like there was no consequence.
Shinbei's also fine, but Napoleon and the Fishmen are probably fine.
Right, and so like, like somebody mentioned, like I really hope that Pedro isn't alive, and I'm like, shit, I can't even promise that Pedro is alive, is dead. I can't anymore because Pound got to live because none of the Fishmen apparently got hurt.
Honestly, when I think it was 2 chapters ago or 3 chapters ago, when Carrot was screaming at Pedro Sparrow that he killed Pedro, I was half convinced that Pedro Sparrow would just whip Pedro out of his head and say, "Well, here he is. It's fine."
Yeah, like
I was literally waiting for this because I thought, just pull him out. He's probably fine.
I just can't, like there's a certain like betrayal. It's called like suspension of disbelief to a certain degree, and like it gets undermined when like it's obvious certain decisions are made, especially with Big Mom. It's very obvious that it's like Oda being like, I want to put her in the plot because I don't want you to figure she's dangerous, but I don't want to cash in on that danger like that, really.
Yep. I think what I like about what he did with Big Mom is that I think he made it clear that Big Mom and Kaido are on a similar level. I think that's something which he did not make clear in terms of their prior hype. Like Kaido had so much more hype. And I think now Kaido is a bit got pushed a few packs down because he had a few weird moments. And whenever they interacted, they were very much interacting on equal terms. So I think that in terms of strength-wise, I think he did a good job in portraying that she is powerful and that she is on par with Kaido. But I also am just annoyed with how she's just this plot convenience at this point.
All right, so I just got back and I heard y'all talking about one of my favorite characters, pre-Wano, Big Mom. So this is near and dear to my heart because when Big Mom was introduced in Whole Cake, I was on the whoop whoop Big Mom hype train. Like I was down for the Big Mom. I don't know if anybody's ever seen like all the memes that people have created with me and Big Mom. Like I love Big Mom. Like she was like top 5 favorite characters. Like, and to see what
Really?
he's, yeah, like I love, like she's my
Wait,
favorite
before she was introduced, or during Wano?
during Whole
During
Cake.
Hokage.
Yeah,
During
yeah,
Whole
yeah. She
Cake.
like I love Big Mom so much. She jumped from not even on my radar to top 5 favorite character.
Oh wow.
Like I like she did like it was amazing. Like I enjoyed her character. I liked her backstory. I liked her power system, like her power schemes. Like everything about Big Mom was like this is a One Piece character and this is a character I like. But everything that Whole Cake did to set her up as like this amazing character, Wano has done everything in his power to tear her down.
Yeah, it's just embarrassing.
And literally, I was like, in my head, after Whole Cake, I was like, Big Mom is either the strongest or the second strongest Yonko. That's where I was at that point. I was like, there's no one that can tell me any different. One thing I will say that he's done good in Wano is comparing her strengths to Kaido when they had the clash and it was like even and all of that, show that they're basically equal. That's one thing I will praise Oda for doing. But everything else, like the amnesia stuff, it was just like,
Yeah, first getting kicked
bro,
down by King, then
King
landing with amnesia on the coast, then
helping
helping
Luffy.
Luffy.
Yeah, okay. The other thing is the thing that I don't like about Big Mom's amnesia and Wano is like, well, she always had memory problems, specifically tied to food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think what frustrates me too is also how inconsequential it is. Finally, she saved Luffy. Then she forgot that she had amnesia. She remembered everything again, and then she also apparently forgot about Chopper because when Chopper later
yes,
appeared, and I was half convinced that maybe they would use this now to get Chopper a free pass with her because they kind of befriended and maybe she
dude.
remembers that. But
That's what
no,
I thought was going to happen too.
I'm not sure if she even recognized him.
That actually makes me more mad that he didn't actually go all the way with the amnesia thing, and he literally only did it to get Luffy out of prison. If he would have had went all the way with it and literally saved Chopper, and if she would have been like, "I like Chopper, he doesn't have to join my crew, he's just cool with me," but everybody else, you gotta go. That would have been such a great plot point.
Right.
Even though I hate amnesia, it would have been great because Chopper would have been straight safe, but he would have to spend all this time convincing Big Mom that nah, the Straw Hats are cool too. And
Chopper could have done something useful. That's
yes, bro, there were so many things that he set up for Big Mom and this Chopper thing to be a big
But,
thing, and
but
it
bro,
didn't.
So
but so Rex, you telling me it wouldn't be gas if Shigaraki got amnesia right now, and then they teamed up to take out All for One? You telling me that wouldn't be gas, bro?
No,
The true way to adhere.
no, but if it's set up in a way that not necessarily that she joins them and then fights against Kaido for it, but in some way that this comes back and that maybe at least she can let Chopper go. Chopper survives because of that. She's merciful because to him, or she does him a favor. If it comes back in some way and not like, yeah, this guy helped me all this time, then I remembered and now I don't like him anymore and I don't care.
or something that would have been great is that if Chopper convinced Big Mom to not participate in Wano, but Big Mom said, "Cool, but we have to have this fight. I cannot forgive Straw Hat Luffy, and we will meet on Elbaf." Something where it's like, okay, Chopper is able to do this big thing with Big Mom, but
Hey.
Big Mom is still an enemy of the Straw Hat. Something.
Hey, and let's be honest, Oda has not convinced me that anybody here can defeat Kaido yet. He hasn't convinced me. With all the training Luffy has done, with all the time
Bro,
we've wasted in Udo on this training, I'm not convinced that anybody here can defeat Kaido one-on-one. So I have nothing against the Big Mom versus Kaido fight. That would be exciting.
Honestly, like here's the honest truth. After we got that little time skip, Oda did nothing to convince me of this. But in my head, Luffy is beating Kaido, and it's going
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
on.
he has to,
No,
right?
no, and it's going to be in a one-on-one setting. Is Kaido going to be at full strength? Probably not. But it's going to be Luffy versus Kaido, and people are like, "Oh, that's impossible. Luffy is definitely not as strong. He definitely is going to need more people."
No, I don't say it's possible that's not going to happen. I just say
No. I'm
that
not you,
I've-
says. I'm speaking
Yeah.
like with the One Piece
All right.
fandom right now, and my counter argument to that is at some point, Luffy has to
has
beat a
to be
Yonko
yeah.
beat a Yonko one-on-one. Big Mom is there. I think Big Mom is going down this arc. If you want the Supernova and Zoro to be useful, you can have them take out another Yonko. But Luffy himself, specifically Luffy, if Big Mom doesn't go down this arc, that means that she has to be the Yonko that he beats one-on-one. But what's the point of bringing Big Mom in this arc if she doesn't go down? Like, this is the issue
So,
with
so
Wano.
wait. Here's the other thing. Like when I look at the way Big Mom is handled, uh, yeah, she like the way the memory issues are handled, created in such a way that like they don't matter, and like I think pudding got left in whole cake, and that's like the other issue, right? Is that what should have happened in my eyes? Like she should have had a relationship with Chopper, and I much rather would have preferred that her family and her would have met up again, and like pudding would have like met her still in a memory foggy state, and would have been able to give her her memories back, but in the process, it would have healed all of her memory loss issues, like as a miscalculation with the power. And then that's where the stem, like she's like, okay, objectively, I was wild in that whole cake. I was objectively going wild. I was tearing it apart, risking my own people that I'm supposed to be protecting, and the land that I love, this hot land that I set up to be a paradise for people of all walks of life, I was destroying. Sanji made the cake that helped me live, and Chopper's taking care of me in Wano. So for these reasons, I can leave the Straw Hats alone for now. There's enough stuff in the story where her getting memories back, all she had to do was keep her Chopper friendship memories and her memories of Tama, which like I understand that Tom was not a warrior, but like I really wish we would have gotten more like substance out of that character because it kind of just felt like it was supposed to be an emotional anchor for Luffy to like really care about her because she cared about Ace.
Yeah, but ultimately it's like the scabbards, right? It's
Come
not
on,
enough.
Aniki, you know this is Oda. Come on, I don't know why you even expected that. Like, but yeah, I agree. Like, even though I don't agree with the Big Mom amnesia thing, the moment you go down that rabbit hole, is you still can make it good. Like, there's just so many things in so many ways it could have gone, and then also like I didn't talk about this, but the Scabbers versus Kaido
Oh god.
consider me shocked.
It's almost as bad as, let me tell you, the most exciting fight in this entire arc was the Sulong Musketeers against the Gifters.
Dude, like this
You
is
know, these guys that Luffy has been one punching since essentially the very first time he stepped on foot on Wano are now supposed to fight the Sulong Musketeers. I don't buy it. Sorry.
bro. Like if Kenny Mon was strong enough to in a group effort beat Kaido, why did he do nothing in Dressrosa?
Yeah, because
So
I don't know. I've been wondering about this.
that okay, so I think part of the issue with like Kitty Mom and like these characters is that, to put it simply, Oda relies very a little too heavily on telling you stuff and over showing you. So like Kitty Mon and the Scabbards are hyped up and then handed like no feats throughout like the entire story. Like all their accomplishments are off screen. Where it's
Yeah, and they did open the old wound.
yeah, like they did like cut them open or whatever. Right. Okay. So Neku Inu, Suwon Neku and Ino against Jack being off screen is such bullshit
The travesty.
because the reality is that like I like Neku, I like Inu. They don't feel like scabbards. They just feel like characters we met on Zoe that are great.
Yeah.
So like I love those characters. They just don't feel connected to Wano because we haven't spent enough time with them.
They
So
should have been fighting Jack. Like I
Right,
don't
so
get
we had
it.
gotten to
They
see
are
that.
fighting
I got a
Jack. We
question.
just don't see
I got a
that.
question. Since apparently all y'all caught up reading it week to week, how much stuff could Odo have cut, and how much stuff could you cut and then put the
You can take the entire Sanji gag with Luffy this chapter, take it out.
Take so many gags out, please, right?
Basically, there's a bunch of comedy moments that if Oda just decided to do this like Marineford, we could have swapped out a bunch of jokes for serious ass shit and like kept rolling. But Oda likes to do like comedy a lot, and that's just like an issue sometimes.
Especially now, I don't know why, but especially now, it's like we're getting in. It's like we've been wasting so many chapters. There were chapters I've read, and the plot didn't move one bit apart from Yamato slash Oden and Luffy getting like 10 meters closer to Kaido. And the only thing that happened was that there were some jokes thrown in between, but nothing else happened. And you wait a week or maybe 2 weeks for a chapter, and that's all you get. It's a bit disappointing.
Bro, honestly, like in Wano itself, there have been so many chapters in Acts 1 and 2 that literally did
Especially.
not, just whole chapters that did not need to be there, that was
Hold on.
regurgitating, which was regurgitating information that we already knew, and they did not move the plot forward in any meaningful way. You could take out whole chapters in Wano. That should not happen,
You could take a whole arc in Wano if you ask me. Just
bro.
the
Like-
udon part you could just cut short at the moment where Raizo pops in the first time. He can just cut them free. Let's go. We don't need any of the training ship. We can do that off screen. I don't care. We don't need to have any of this Luffy one-shotting more of these other udon prisoners. I don't care. Why would I care?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
like-
that just content-wise doesn't matter that much.
And the what's the name? Yokozuna? Is that the name of the
Oh yeah,
with wrestler?
that quick matchup.
Ah, I've been when that happened, like first one shot Batman, then he one shot Hold'em, and then he one shot that Yokozuna matchup. I asked people what's the purpose of that, and people were telling me that it's gonna come back, like Yokozuna is gonna be important again. I don't care. Like even if at the end of all this we're gonna see a panel of him celebrating the victory and the freedom of Wano, I don't care. Why would I care? I've wasted 3 chapters on this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like it's and what makes it especially bad is that this has nothing to do with One Piece. But after reading the war arc in My Hero, it really makes me like have a bad taste in my mouth about Wano. A real bad taste.
Because all the setup, because what it comes down to is My Hero set up the villains, factions, and ideologies a year ago with My Villain Academia, set up the Hawks plot line in like chapter 190. So for the past like 70 chapters, we've been getting like for 70 chapters leading up to that, essentially, we got plenty of different pieces put on the board, moving the spots where they needed to be, relationships established so that we can like move that stuff along.
Now we can just do action.
Yeah, we made the plot, like the setup, a part of the action and the plot to keep going and like succeed and like get to this point. With Wano, for whatever reason, Oda decided that for the most part, the plots within those narratives needed to be their own stories that don't contribute as much to the overall thing. Like the Grand Fleet has read the newspaper, has a vivid card of Luffy, so they can't get lost going to Wano, and for whatever reason has not shown up, even though there was a news article directly stating that Kaido and Big Mom had a conversation about the fact that Luffy was going to go to Wano.
Yeah.
There was zero justification for the Grand Fleet to not already be at Wano at all.
Yeah. There's so many things that we've been talking about getting Marco into this arc since forever, and Marco is a hype character. So instead of just putting him into this arc, we have to wait all this time to give him a hype moment to come back. But he doesn't really have a particular battle where he now has to cut in because there's not actually a battle going. So we get him a hype moment to come back where he somehow teams up with Perospero, which I mean, I like Perospero. I'm always appreciative for seeing Perospero. But that aside, it's again such a waste of if you want to give him a hype entrance, just do it while the fight is actually going and not waste 2 chapters on Marco if we know that Marco is gonna come anyway already. And the same is with, for example, there was this other chapter when we found out that what's her name, the sister of Momonosuke, Hiyori is Momonosuke's sister, and we found that out. It was like the chapter started with Zoro had just lost consciousness. And the entire chapter, they were just, I don't know, sitting in this hut talking and wasting time only so at the final panel we could get this huge reveal that Hiyori is his sister. Like, it was a huge wasted chapter. The entire chapter was just fluff, so we could have the reveal in the final page and then have it. I was just, you can't do, like, MAJ would not do that.
Okay, so
Waste the entire chapter so at the end you can make
you're
one
mentioning that
great
Big
panel.
Mom's crew is struggling to get the waterfall. That's another issue. They
Yeah.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You have Candy Slug. You have so many different things that the Candy Slug, she can control the cart. Like there's so much shit that like, and like think about it. They got knocked down multiple times, and Perospero still got over the waterfall that day.
Like I don't like that. That's the thing that really irritates me with the whole waterfall. What the fuck? The whole waterfall thing is that, dude, you have all these people who these aren't weak people. These are people that's top 50 in diverse. Like
Yeah.
Big Mom is arguably top 5. You have Sparrow, you have Smoothie, who's in the commander rank. You have all these people. Like it makes no sense for them. But then, like you say that Big Mom struggled. The Straw Hats didn't struggle. So why would the
Yeah.
Grand Fleet struggle?
Everybody else gets to Wano. Like So gets to Wano. The Scabbards all get to Wano. Even those that have left, most of them have left Wano. They got to Wano. The Straw Hats first got to Wano, and then Luffy
Marco.
with the rest of the Straw- all of them got to Wano. Only Big Mom's crew doesn't get to Wano in like a week or so.
Dude, like so Marco, Jinbei, all of these dudes get to 1-0. But you telling me the Grand Fleet will have an issue too? When it's only like honestly, it feels like the only reason Big Mom crew can't get up the waterfall is because they know Big Mom is coming. There, like everyone else is like it's Kaido, he could deal with them, but Big Mom is like, oh, we have to stop her. But even that's kind of BS because how did you know she coming?
Yeah, no. It makes sense that they know she's coming, but it doesn't make sense that apparently they know she's coming, so they're patrolling the area, but somehow they missed the warriors from Zou coming. They just get through.
Yeah, because like Neko managed to sneak in no problem.
Yeah,
Neko
they
did
just
not show up in
got
the same way.
They must have come in the same time that Big Mom came in, but for whatever reason, Big Mom had it much harder.
Like it doesn't track logically that they can infiltrate Zou. Like even like Law's crew getting in makes sense because they have the fucking submarine. Law can infiltrate anywhere and it will basically make sense, especially when you also just pair it with room. Like
yeah, you could say that Luffy, that the people that Luffy's the first half of the Straw Hats, they got in because back then Kaido wasn't on the lookout for them. For Luffy himself, it was already kind of he should have been on the lookout for Luffy because he kind of knew he was coming, right?
Yeah, he should have known. Also,
he should have known.
I realized this basically became like we talked about Fairy Tail and Black Clover, and then it became the Big 3 stream. So real quick,
actually, when I talk about Hunter x Hunter,
shit, we might not even have time to do Hunter x Hunter, which means we might get a different stream at another time. Just because I do have guests coming later.
Yeah, the issue with the Hunter x Hunter one is that flow is supposed. It's the Hunter x Hunter thing is to be a bigger thing, and I want to talk about how. Honestly, I told you how Hunter x Hunter characters will fit in the world of MHA. I want to talk about that.
Anyway.
But Bungie gonna go stupid. Gento versus Sasaka. Oh my god.
Hold on real quick. How much time you got, Aniki?
Probably like 20-30 minutes most. That's real quick. Chat. Throw out. I want to give the chat this chance. Throw out some series that you might consider overhated or overrated. I don't care which one.
And real quick, Rex.
But Ed, which one you mean? Don't just throw the name out.
Yeah. Also, be clear about which one.
I'll go since I can get. Oh, what you about to say, Rex? You go first.
No, you go. You have.
Well, since I barely talk because I've been like walking around fucking town like a fucking pilgrimage. Stupid ass cars. Nah, on God, Kimetsu no Yaiba overhated and over. I wouldn't even call it overrated because people were gassing it until it had that last arc, and that's when the anime was coming out and the last arc combined, and it was sales was doing so great, and it's the fandom that really threw it out of whack. And be honest, it's the fucking fandom, them spoiling ass niggas that threw that shit out of whack. Because I heard people talking about the first season wasn't all that good. That's a goddamn lie. I don't care, objective, subject, whatever fucking term you want to use. That was at least a medium 8 out of 10 first season.
Oh, no.
That was a good.
Demon Slayer definitely overrated. As a person who read it all, definitely overrated.
All right, let me say this. Is the manga overrated? Yes. Is the first season of the anime overrated? No, it's not.
No, thank you, Rex. No,
it's not.
It's clarify. Thank you, Rex.
It's not overrated.
I would say the back 4 episodes of Demon Slayer are actually pretty damn whatever. Like,
you talking about the last 4?
Like once you get past episode 1920, like the last 5-6 episodes of Demon Slayer are just kind of whatever to me. And like,
okay, that's fine, but everything
partially. But like the other thing though is that like it's not like the characters like Zenitsu, Tanjiro, or Inosuke. Like even though I like Inosuke, the characters aren't that strong as far as like character writing goes. So it's like I've got like an okay roster of characters, uh, nice animation, but like as far as characterization goes, as far as like the actual immersion and writing goes, it's kind of like whatever. It's like this movie though, like the movie takes one of the best arcs, and I'm sure the movie will be like I already know it's gonna be a visual masterpiece. Like the movie, like the arc in the movie,
Oh yeah, y'all gotta see the animation. Dear God, them niggas.
the the I've been spoiled on so much of Berserk that I've never even done a proper reading of it. I've just been spoiled on it a bunch. Underrated Claymore, yes, and I actually would consider it better than Demon Slayer because I like the characters more. They're much more grounded and realistic, and they're not reliant on tropes. But that's okay.
Real quick, they Nell said underrated. D Gray Man. I think honestly, I think D Gray Man is rated exactly where it needs to be.
I think D. Grayman gets its respect when it's talked about. It's just
Yeah.
not talked about a lot because it's not
Yeah.
putting
Yeah,
out a
yeah.
lot of stuff.
It's not active enough to be that.
Yeah,
I was just talking to Shisu about that the other day. He was breaking it down how she been on like a 2-year break and shit. And
Yeah.
the anime is old and dated. Most of the
Yeah.
sushi you hear about now got animes that's on the TL.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Demon. I think yeah. So then, Hunter x Hunter overrated. This person Miles is just objectively wrong.
No, it's
Uh,
not.
no,
Naruto.
no.
Perfectly correct.
Hunter x Hunter's overrated.
It's
Perfectly
not.
But
correct.
We're not going to get into the Hunter x Hunter one. Naruto overhated. We already said that. We already talked about Demon Slayer. Yu Yu Hakusho is overrated. I 100% agree that Yu Yu
Don't agree
Hakusho
at all.
is overrated. Hunter x Hunter is literally the 2.0 of Yu Yu Hakusho, and there is no way you can say that Yu Yu Hakusho is better than Hunter x Hunter, which people say is
because it
crazy.
is.
At least Cool Bar got his hands thrown. Where L'Oreal at?
Niggas, he punched one of the strongest people in the world. Let's go.
Because
Nigga,
he
he
let
did.
him.
Let's go.
He did
Let's
that as
go.
a trap. He did that got a freebie. Come on now.
No, anyway, God of High School's anime, overrated. Yes, 100%. I will tell you the truth. God of High School's anime is definitely overrated. Read the webtoon, considerably better. People
Yes.
that like the God of High School anime, like anybody who gasses the God of High School anime above like a 7, they just didn't read the webtoon because you can't be satisfied with what you're like watching in God of High School and the way they butchered some of these fights and like the narrative like beats and still come away with like this is a good story.
All right.
It like cuts out a lot of things.
So
FMA is not underrated. Don't play with me.
FMA
Please,
is
no.
not underrated at all. It's definitely appropriately rated.
It is-
Berserk.
it is-
I want to talk about the Berserk thing. I am coming onto the side that Berserk may be a little overrated. I think it may be I love Berserk and it was my favorite manga at a certain point, but the more I like think about it and the more I realize what I read, Berserk may be a little overrated. Like,
Hey, you know what's funny? I'm gonna keep it a buck, 100. I would not feel a Code Geass. I cannot finish that shit.
but oh my god, thank you. Code Geass is one of the most overrated pieces of trash ever.
And bro, I
Woo!
mean, it's not like I didn't vibe with Lelouch or some shit. And you already know me. I could take a slow burn. That ain't the problem, dog. That's not the issue. I do slice life. I'm not a meathead. I could take the slow burn to build up a methodical setup. I appreciate that shit, if anything. But bro, I'm trying to tell you, I was kind of struggling. I'm like, damn man, why is it so hard to get into this motherfucker? Like,
Bro,
shit,
like-
I tried it twice, dog, and I was like, man, I ain't gonna hold you, dog.
so
I
here's my
drop
thing
this shit.
with Code Geass. The first season I liked whatever. The second season I like all right, my first watch through of both of them, I really enjoyed it. My second watch through, I was like, holy shit, is this some mid? Oh my god, I thought this was a lot better than what it was. Code Geass is so like it is one of those series that I just really want to have debates about every single day when people say it's like the greatest thing ever. I'm like, it's so garbage, bro. It's not garbage.
It's definitely underrated.
Air Gear is underrated. Yes.
Especially as a manga.
Oh my god. Come on, stop.
You know, we're gonna do a part 2 of this. We're gonna do a part 2.
Yeah, oh
Yes,
god.
JoJo's is overrated.
Yes.
I look. Here's the thing. I enjoy JoJo's. JoJo's is fun, but if you watch the first 5 seasons, the first 5 parts, and you want to convince me that it's some like deep, complex narrative, write me the fucking essay. Write me the essay.
Dude, okay. People get crazy when I say I do not like anything about JoJo. Literally, I say this every time. The best thing about JoJo for me was the beginning of the first season when Dio and Jonathan were literally being normal kids. I literally thought the first season was going to be the slice of life build up to how Dio became this evil dude, and I thought I was going to enjoy all of that. And like that was so interesting, like Dio, like Jonathan having to overcome all this evil stuff and like still grit his teeth. I thought all of that was going to be interesting. We get that for like 4 episodes, then it goes into this flamboyant shit, and I was like, I'm done. And then I tried some other parts, and I was like, this is not hitting. Like, it's just not that good, bro.
What's wrong, bro? You ain't trying to see my boys with their chest poking out when they slow fit?
I don't mind it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I read Tokyo Ghoul within the past couple of months. Some of you who followed me on Twitter would have seen me going through it. I agree. Tokyo Ghoul is kind of overrated.
Oh, it's 100% overrated.
Like, I think Tokyo Ghoul is only like praised as much as it is because a lot of niggas hadn't seen anything dark yet, and they weren't used to like that kind of like violence. But it really wasn't like as great as I thought it was gonna be.
Oh, real quick, something that's underrated is Vinland Saga. It may be
Vinland Saga. I don't know because I have never seen anybody watch it and didn't like it, and I think it's underappreciated in the sense that there are not enough that watch it.
I'm talking about the manga. I'm not talking about the anime. The anime is rated appropriately. Anybody that talks about it thinks it's the greatest thing ever. But the manga specifically, it is, in my opinion, definitively the best manga of all time, from what I've read.
You know what's funny, Rex, about that is that you could have convinced me of that prior to this, but ever since that, I heard like Vinland's one of the goats, like monsters up there. It's not really talked about, but you just know it's one of the goats. It got its rep, right? Its stripes. But what's funny is, when the damn anime came out, everybody went like, oh, it's time. I got to reread the whole series now, and everybody do that shit. So what's funny is after that season ended, I'm like, I see all these ratings from multiple people, and the arcs after that, I'm like, them ratings low as fuck. I'm like, hold on, this shit not adding up to what y'all was saying.
But it's the meathead. It's the meathead thing, bro. I'm letting you know it's the meathead syndrome.
Okay, because I'm like, okay, bro, what's good? Because like y'all niggas gassed up Vinland, said it's peak, like, bro, waiting to get the sea battle arc, final arc, blah blah blah. And then I've seen a bunch of different niggas read through like Discord, Twitter, and shit, and they rating half the other arcs on the latter half of the series after the season 1. Fucking 7.5 barely. I'm like, what the hell?
We've been shitting on Seven Deadly Sins for like a year before it ended. Like,
it's overhated. It's overhated. So
okay, we definitely gonna have to do a part 2.
Yeah, it's overhated. It's overhated.
Definitely doing a part 2.
The last
I'm gonna explain why K and Y deserves to get shit on like he does.
I think Seven Deadly Sins is both. I think at the beginning,
I do.
Overrated. First season when it came out, it was so overrated.
I think the hate that it gets is over, like it's too much.
Right.
And I think the praise it gets sometimes is still too much as well. I think there's a happy medium, but I do think it's overhated. Like the last arc and like maybe a little before that, or maybe last two arcs, it was some. I will give you that, but the series, the series as a whole is I like. So it's like I think it's overhated.
Okay, so like my thing with Seven Deadly Sins, like the back arc falls off. Like the center is basically where it just goes off the rails and starts sucking. But like when you like the Purgatory arc, where Bond and Meliodas were in hell for 1,000 years together, just grinding.
Great.
No, that shit was gas.
That's what I'm saying. That and before that and a little bit after that was like I enjoyed it very much. And then when we got like the Escanor, Estarosa stuff, like all of that, I was like, holy like it was cool.
And you ruined my favorite character.
It was cool and godly, and then they gave him wings and weird clothes and weird trousers.
She likes the edgelord. She liked the edgelord, and he wasn't the one.
No, I really don't like Maya's design.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But like literally after that, it went. Oh my God, Aniki, did it go? Like the Elizabeth fake out. Also, spoiler alert: the Elizabeth fake out death was the dumbest thing. You could have just ended the series right there, bro. You could have just let him have
annoying. This shit was so annoying.
Oh just end the series. Just end the series there. Just end the series.
Somebody mentioned earlier, I think that they think certain parts of Fire Force are underrated. I actually agree to a certain degree because I actually like the story of Fire Force. I like the cult. I like the whole religious background, them like exploiting the system. Like when the thing with Ogun where they were fighting somebody that was like, I've been in Inferno for like 200 years, so I'm trying to blow this shit up and die. dope. Like that kind of stuff, I'm with.
Yeah.
So I think that certain pieces of Fire Force are definitely underappreciated, just because of the fact that Tamaki is garbage that drags the series down.
B-Stars is not underrated, Chris Green. B-Stars is
It, it's misunderstood. If anything, you got me fucked up. I'm tired of it. That's
like B-Stars for
Nah.
me is not underrated. Anybody that watches or read B-Stars will tell you how great it is. The thing is, it's just not a lot of people watch or read it. It's just that it's not underrated. It's just the problem with B-Stars is that it has Animix people, so like that's automatically a lot of people.
no,
You're just
no.
not
The
going to get the
problem,
mass appeal.
no, the problem is that's not even the problem. The animal thing isn't the problem. Guess what the
Yes,
problem is?
it is.
Because
they horny.
no. Let me tell you, no. Let me tell you what it really is. A bunch of dickhead anti-Twitter niggas always on the same thing. This what y'all reading, and they show the fucking panel of fucking Haru taking out Legosi's pants without context, acting like they did not fuck in that scene. They just acting like they did, and niggas like, oh, you niggas watching animals fuck. No, nigga, that's not how it is. So niggas get the misconception. Oh, first of all, it was a furry anime. Now you watching these animals fuck. No, nigga, she misunderstood his intentions. If you actually watch the series, do you know she sleeps with people for different reasons, but she thought he was there for that. He was just there to talk to her, and she misunderstood the situation.
Hold on.
Nigga. Oh, my fault.
Just so y'all know, Neil, since you haven't read AOT yet, I promise you, when you finally get to experience it, you're not gonna say it's overrated.
Yeah.
Like Chris saying that AOT is better than My Hero does not bother me.
It doesn't bother me at all either. I think that
Like
in my opinion, for the greatest shonen of all time, like technically, like technical writing and everything, if AOT continues the way it's going, it's definitely going to surpass Hunter x Hunter, in my opinion. And that's just my. I know you guys don't put Hunter x Hunter up there. Yeah, I know you guys hate it or whatever, but I'm saying hate as like a jokingly way. Like I'm not saying I actually hate it, but I know. But for me personally, Hunter x Hunter is my favorite. And if AOT continues the way it's going, it's definitely going to surpass Hunter x Hunter. And I feel comfortable saying that if AOT continues the same way for all of y'all, would y'all not agree it's the best shonen of all time until something else surpasses it? Like from just a technical writing standpoint.
No, it's a legitimate contender for that. As long as they handle this these last couple chapters, as long as they handle this shit right, AOT is on its way to getting a 10 out of 10 score for me.
Yeah, it's like for real.
AOT is an example of where people are the praise that people give the setup that Oda has, I think is praise that belongs over on Attack on Titan, because I've never felt like I didn't get a good payoff with Attack on Titan. I understand some people I thought the basement was gonna what did you think the basement was gonna be? A fucking cave leading to more Titans? Did you think it was gonna be some meathead shit? Did you think it was gonna be like a big war in the basement? Does that even make sense? No.
I couldn't even fathom what was in the fucking basement, bro. I was so curious, bro, what the fuck is here? I never really read that chapter. Oh my god!
And the basement reveal to me is one of the best handled reveals in a long time, because it was just
it set up so much. It set up oh my god, did it set up so much?
Oh yeah, I'm disappearing because the sun is going down, and I actually use natural light for most of my streams.
Yeah, in case y'all didn't notice. But no, real quick, what's neither overrated nor overhated, I guess, because it's so old, but it's coming back. Evangelion.
I haven't watched I just never watched it. It's one of those old animes movies. I just
It's best just to watch all the point O movies, which is faster. I mean, I guess you want to get a little more character stuff, but if you want an updated version that still condenses all the perfect points, me and my brother, basically the one y'all know watching that just finished season 4, we basically just binge that shit one day we was I think it was a Thursday night. We had school the next day, bro. I was over at the nigga house and we just binged all that shit straight for the entire night. And if we went to school the next morning, bro, this shit broke me. This shit was wild.
Also, I never said my I'm gonna watch it East. I never said my overrated series, and because we're low on time, I'm gonna say my 2. And y'all already know what they are. Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen.
You're not even
Oh.
current on either. Get out of here.
You gonna use a One Piece argument against me? You
No,
gonna use a One Piece argument against me?
Because I'm glad you just said this. You want to know why?
Why?
Here, I'm about to read this. Oh, this is beautiful. Because I got my homie reading Jujutsu Kaisen. All right, so peep this. You ready for this? Holy shit, do I hate Patch Face though. That thing needs to be erased. Oh, and the ascension of Gojo to Godhead was pretty dope too. What made the whole thing wild, it was like his own arc's final boss and shit. Like the stakes were stupid high in this moment. That shit right there, the anime, right, it calls a PE. When they make you make excuses, that is. This never really happens. I must have just got excited. I love this one. It's dark as shit. It's like, what if Hunter x Hunter was good all the way through?
Obviously, he's objectively wrong. And also, going back to my original. Look at that foreshadowing that Rex did at the beginning of the stream. If he was there, they are both average, and it's okay. They're not bad series. They're just average, and it's okay to enjoy an average series.
Kaisen, I actually do enjoy Jujutsu Kaisen more than Hunter x Hunter.
Your enjoyment is cool or whatever, but as always said, enjoyment is not a factor in whether a series is average or not.
Because like
average my ass.
The characterization, the actual utilization of the roster, the villains are actually like more cohesively written. The concept, like the power system, is as good as Hunter x Hunter's.
It's not.
As far as its execution, yes, it is. Yes, it is. But like,
bro,
it's okay to be wrong, Brad.
No, people in the chat agree with me. People in the chat agree with me. Look, it's
you got
bro,
one person. What you mean?
No, it's two. It's two, and it's two people. And then two people disagree with me. But like I'm saying, bro, they're not bad series. But you cannot like tell me that they're any like. It's okay. Like I like what I like. I like Joe Blow series. No, I haven't been really reading the Gravity. I've been letting it build up because I love comedy series too much to like read it week to week. But Gravity is a perfect example. It's average, but I enjoy it. I can admit that. Just one day y'all will understand that these two series are Chainsaw Man and JJK are both average.
There's no arcs in JJK that bore the fuck out of me.
That's you.
There are no arcs that don't have lots of meandering. They're like in Hunter x Hunter. There are no arcs where characters are like structured and introduced, especially like when you want to compare like how the anime handle it, or like where they like throw people away for like 100 chapters just to like, and then be like, hey, remember this character Gon hung out with for 2 chapters? It's gonna be really sweet and like super meaningful. Like, no, the reality is like it was okay setup. It was okay. Ginthru mid.
Ginthru was the
Ginthru mid.
Go.
Mediocrity.
Go.
Mediocrity.
Go.
Let me twirl my mustache while I say mediocrity. That is what Ginthru is.
Listen. I'm gonna say this because Neil said something about the transition chat is being weird. Listen, I don't care what nobody says at all. The end, the transition, and the ending of the Plasma Vessel arc, where Gojo took off the blindfold, and they was like, "What are you smiling about?" And he was like, "Nothing." But it was like a dream sequence where he was waking up, fading into reality. After he thought back after everything that's happened, I don't give a fuck what nobody said. That's one of the cleanest transitions I've ever seen in my life, bro. That shit was animated in my head when I watched that shit. That shit was peak transition. That shit was clean as fuck.
Or when
Turner said,
old man.
You said what?
But come on.
When Ghetto took out the old man.
Oh, whatever.
So
I don't know. That's more average. So look, Turner said Rex think because he don't like it means it's average. No. I enjoyed what I got out of what I read, but I did not. It's the same thing with Black Clover. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but I could tell that it was nothing special. It was average. It's so, bro. Like, guys, I am letting you guys know it is okay. It's okay. It's okay for your series to be average. If you was at the beginning of the stream, I said this. It's okay for a series to be average. It's okay to enjoy it, but stop overhyping these series up. That's not that special. JJK,
Thank you.
Hold on, real quick. JJK and Chainsaw Man will not be in anybody GOAT series list when they're finished. There will be another series that held people over to the next great series came out, and I'm letting you guys know that now.
Listen, I'm glad you talked about over. I'm glad you talked about that because there's nothing wrong with the men. The AOT is overhyped and it's really a 7.5 out of 10. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you, dog.
Easy, you don't believe that.
And Aaron ain't all that special.
You don't believe. East, one, you don't believe that, and two, that's objectively wrong. Like, bro, guys, it's okay, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. It's okay to like these series. These series are good for what they do, and what they do just happens to be average.
I heard we were slandering JJK. Let's go.
Yes!
I had to
Okay,
join.
so first off, Ian,
Let's go.
just so you know, you joined for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, no worries. I figured.
But with that being said, it's okay, Ian. Sometimes you just get to be wrong, and I'm okay with that. I still love and cherish you.
Do you know my opinion on JJK? Like why I don't care much for it?
Because all the characters die, you don't know their names or something like that.
No, it's actually I don't have like a reason like Rex where he can like defend it or whatever. My reason is literally just that every time I read it, I felt nothing and cared for nothing. So it's just not my kind of series. Like it's just not for me, and that's just how it is.
And the art is mid.
Nah, the art's cool.
For your information,
art is big.
Rex, for your information, because you pointed this out earlier. For your information, because you pointed this out earlier, Rex, the chat is against you.
Oh, now they're against me. Now they're against me. No, it's against me.
Okay. Real quick though, like here.
They were against Jesus too.
Get out of here. You ain't close to a savior, nigga. You ain't close to a savior. Now, because I've got to wrap the stream up, because I'm about to go watch The Boys and then do some breakdowns and some shit.
Boys.
Like starting with say, actually no, Ian, real quick, 2 minutes. Just go ahead, spit some views, what you consider overrated, what you consider overhated. Give you 2 minutes, a little bit of time to speak your mind before we close down the stream. As soon as the stream ends, I'm actually just gonna kill the meat in two. So I want you to at least say some shit.
Yeah, no problem. So just two that I can think off the top of my head, just based on things that you all talked about. A quick one, Genthru is pretty cool. I like him a lot, especially in the anime. I just think he has a really cool presence, and he works very well as the villain of an arc where Gon's whole perspective is, I'm here to play this game just to have fun and just to enjoy it. I don't even care if I find my dad. Whereas this guy's here to just be like, we'll do everything, every down dirty thing to just win money, like some nebulous concept. And I just really I think he works really well as just like a force of nature, and he has a cool power, and he has a really cool fight with Gon. When I was watching that with my brother and he blew off Gon's arm, I literally sat up, like I stood out of my chair and I looked at my brother and he looked at me, like our eyes were like wide. And I was like, dude, I don't know. Does he just not have an arm the rest of the series? Oh my gosh. So it's crazy. So I like Genthru. I think he's overhated. Overrated. Now I'll have to say this because you'll all want to jump me. So we'll go to the easy one. The easy overrated thing, which is that Enies Lobby is garbage and I hate reading it. Every moment reading that arc, I could not tell what was happening, which was one thing. And two, I do not think we needed a boss rush once we're like, all right, we got Robin's backstory. We're going to go save her. You know, we got Usopp and Frankie at the ready. Let's do it. Let's do the fight. And then they're like, hey, so just because or whatever, we're going to give you the chance to find the key to save your friend, but we're going to do a stupid little boss rush where you have to fight all our stupid little CP9 who are the most overrated characters in One Piece. I heard Rob Lucci's names for years, and I was like, oh, who's this cool tiger guy? Worthless, garbage. He has no personality. He's not interesting. He doesn't do anything cool. This fight with Luffy's hard to understand. Garbage arc. I dislike it. That's my hot take.
Ian, for clarification, is this Enies Lobby specifically or Water 7 too?
Water 7's cool.
Great. I am alright with that.
And
So
by the
I
way,
have
everything
anything
good,
against
everything good,
Enies
about,
Lobby,
everything
but-
good about everything good about Enies Lobby is the things that people like. Robin, Frankie, Usopp being cool, but that is all mired by the moment-to-moment just basis of we just have to fight all these fodder people and Luffy just coming in and I can't tell what's going on because it's hardly shaded at all, so it's all just these creatures flying around and all this stuff. It's hard. I don't like it at all.
Also,
so that's my hot take.
Real quick, and everybody in the chat, Ian read Enies Lobby. He didn't watch it. That takes away some of the enjoyment of Enies Lobby and also pre-time skip One Piece as a whole. I think the anime is the best way to consume. All right.
No. So, and that's it. I guess my final one, and I won't be quick. I'll be quick about it. Is just that I think MVA gets a little too much praise just for the fact that it's a novel idea. But I think if we ever get more arcs like it, I don't think that MVA, My Villain Academia, is the peak of what you can do with a villain arc. And I think a lot of people treat it as such. I'm like, guys, like MHA itself could do this arc better. And I feel like it has a few problems that keep it from being a 9 or a 10. I think it is the strongest 8 I have ever given anything, where I'm like, you are on the cusp. You're on the cusp of a 9. And I just think what allows people to give it that 9 or a 10 is that they really like it. They either give it an 8 or 9. And then they're like, also, it's original, guys. Look how cool that is. But that factor isn't going to last forever, I don't feel like. And I don't think it's as much of valuable in ranking the series, the arc. However, it's still MHA, so an 8 for MHA is still like higher than an 8 I'd give for a series that I'm just like, it's okay. So MHA the GOAT, there you go.
All right, so Sayas, then East, then Rex, you'll fire off your final things. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 to this stream though, because especially Ian just came in with some heat, and I love it. So Sayas,
Sorry,
So want me just to summarize what we've talked about, or
I'll listen to it.
Just say what you feel.
yeah, I think we have thankfully all agreed that FMAB is the best and absolutely not overrated manga. We've thankfully all agreed that
7 out of 10.
Hunter x Hunter is not the best.
You know, it's
And
100% the best.
Anyway, I just think from the very start I've been saying that I think we should be kind to people, especially younger audience who maybe overhype, maybe overrate an anime that we maybe think is only mid. Because why not let them enjoy whatever they enjoy? I think that's important. Also because they will get older, they will read other stuff, and then they will like other stuff. And I also think it's important when we speak about this whole One Piece. I think we can fight about One Piece however we want, and I think we all agree that One Piece has currently a bit of a dry phase. But I think when we look back on it, we will all agree that One Piece was a great ride for a long while, and I think it is important to learn from what we talked about in Naruto, that we shouldn't be too strict at looking back at things that have worked for so long, and just appreciate for what they were, and not look into hindsight and then talk down stuff that we've enjoyed for so long just because there were 2 or 3 flaws in the end. Yeah.
Right, that's fair.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I know, like she finished off with the moral message. I'm
Yeah.
She's
Quite
the best
good.
of all of us. East, what you got to say?
Straight mid. 5 out of 10. I'm not fucking with y'all. Listen, care what you talking about? Kimetsu no Yaiba season 1, strong 8 at 10 the very least. That shit is gas on all cylinders, not just for the animation. You know what I'm saying? A lot of overhated things out there. I don't know, Black Clover. I ain't gonna screw the Julius thing, but I feel like it get too much flack, too much lip, and that's just me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really read people like that, but I don't understand. What's not going to be overhated when it come out is Household Husband. Y'all niggas don't understand how fucking funny that shit is. Shout out to Necklace Day, that GOAT. I swear to God, I never seen. That was one of the funniest things I ever seen in my fucking life. I cannot wait till that come out. B series misunderstood completely. Don't let the fucking furry shit fool you. And don't let that one sex panel fool you. Niggas are stupid as hell. Tokyo Revengers underrated. It's gas. It's the GOAT. And to top it all off, man, imitate 10 on 10. I don't give a fuck what nobody saying. I ain't debating shit because I said what the hell I said. And that's how it is.
Heck yeah.
That's it.
All right, Rex.
All right, I'm going with the complete opposite message of Ian, East, and Says. You guys' opinions are wrong. Mine are right.
Yo, where's Rex? I thought Rex was going to say something.
Y'all can't hear me?
He's
I can hear
talking.
you.
Oh, anyways. anyways, you guys are all wrong. I'm right. Your series recommendations are trash. The series you like are trash. I'm right in every sense of the word. Read Timeless Nana. It's one of the best dark horses of this anime season. Read The Wonder Witch Elena. Also fantastic.
Agreed.
Dark horse. Jujutsu Kaisen. Mid. Chainsaw Man. Mid. Everything else you niggas like. Mid.
All
And
right.
also, don't be respectful to these people's anime opinion. If you think they're wrong, argue with them. Let there be chaos, anarchy.
All right, so now this here is done.
I was gonna say, I thought you were a Legend of Korra hater.
All right. I want to thank everybody that came through, watched the stream. Definitely going to do a part 2 to this. It might not be, I don't know when we're going to do this, but we'll definitely have to do another part 2 just because there's a lot of topics we can touch on. KNY is definitely overrated, definitely submit, definitely don't need to be praised the way it is. But you know what? That cultural resonance makes it make money, and I respect that part of it at least. Also going to just say, don't take advice from Rex. His Xperia report came back, and he's got a credit score of 458. So you know this man is mad creditless. You cannot take advice from him. You will end up homeless and unable to get into an apartment. That's just what it is. You got to be safe out here. Don't trust Rex. That's all I can tell you. Watch JJK. Enjoy Chainsaw Man. Check out Jigo Karaku. Go ahead, just go on the website, sit there, pour over all that manga. There's plenty of good stuff in there. I'm never going to read Robocop, but maybe you'll laugh at it. Who knows? Check out Undead Unluck.